CBS. Welcome home.
The most compelling action is on CBS Sports.
St. Louis, gateway to the West. Within sight of the famed arch across the Mississippi lies a new 1.25 mile speedway, Gateway International Raceway, ready today for NASCAR's Busch Grand National Racers. Defending champion and current leader, Randy LaJoie. Challenger Todd Bodine, who's taken some hard licks, knocked from the top spot at Milwaukee in this incident. New faces. Long Island Steve Park has already won in his freshman year. 22-year-old Virginian Elliott Sadler, he's won twice. Winston Cup stars, the Labonte brothers, Bobby and defending Winston Cup champion Terry. And Ricky Craven will be starting in the front row. In all, 42 drivers ready for a new challenge, Gateway International Raceway. In blistering heat, 50,000 fans have turned out, sold out this grandstand, many of them getting their first taste of live NASCAR Super Speedway racing at this brand new facility in Madison, Illinois, just across the Mississippi River from St. Louis. Heat's going to be the story for 42 competitors today. Heat that is hot. How hot? Well, how about 94 degrees trackside right now? In the cars that will be running 114 degrees without even the motors turned on, and the pavement, as you can see, 141 degrees at the present time. As to the weather and the heat, let's go to Dick Berggren.
Ken, it is hot down here on Pete Road, and one of the hottest drivers in this series is Randy LaJoie, who comes into this event as the points leader. He's already won 4 times this year, including just 2 races ago on CBS. He starts way back in 14th. That's not a problem. He qualified with his race setup instead of something trick, but this heat is something else. How are you going to manage it, Randy?
It's going to be the same for everybody. You know, we do a lot of work during the week on our bikes and a lot of cardiovascular work. Hopefully it pays off today. Hopefully everybody keeps their cool, and if this racetrack doesn't come up, we'll put on a good show.
And starting right up in front of him is the rookie sensation, Elliott Sadler. He's won twice so far this year. He topped the speed charts in virtually every practice session except the last one. He crashed his primary car, and this morning they put a new engine in his backup car. They changed the brakes. Elliott, that's a lot of change. You worried about today?
No, I don't think so. This Diamond Red's crew, I tell you what, these guys have really worked hard the last 2 days, and being as hot as it is, you know, they got a little druzy and everything, but I think we got a good race car for today. You know, we kind of ruined our primary car, but this old Phillips 66 Chevrolet is going to be pretty good today. And I just want to say hello to everybody at South Hill and the Crowder family. We did a little prayer for y'all this morning, and we're going to see if we can win this thing for y'all.
Good luck to you, Elliott. Let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
Dick, to beat the heat on the racetrack, NASCAR has dumped 1,500 gallons of water down in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 to keep the asphalt cool. They expect the cockpit temperatures to climb close to 200 degrees, so they've allowed the teams to add an extra air hose to blow air onto the drivers. But the drivers will tell you that's like taking a hair dryer, turning it on high heat, and just blowing it right onto your face. Here on pit road, they expect the track temperatures to reach 160 degrees, so they put hoses down here. Buckets of ice-cold water with towels for the crew members to drape around their necks. Tents to provide much-needed shade. And if a crew member gets real woozy and needs some extra help, they have these golf carts cruising up and down pit road with a bed, oxygen, and a quick trip to the med center. Ken Squire?
The only saving grace right now is just a gentle, steady breeze, but it is hot. With Ned Jarrett and Buddy Baker, we're about to get hot with 42 drivers ready to go today here at this new Gateway International Raceway. It's our 4th Busch Grand National race of the year on CBS. We're 2/3 of the way through the Grand National season, 10 races to go, and we get down to Homestead, Florida to bring you that championship. But the story here today is how you are going to cope. How do you prepare, Buddy Baker, for one like this?
Well, you could hear the drivers say, we've already got ourselves in good condition, but you have to remember the cars get hot too. When they get here the first day, they started putting insulation in them, making sure the air openings coming into the radiator keeps the car cool. That keeps the driver cool also.
Now, Jarrett, a whole different track than these drivers have experienced before.
Yeah, we have another unique racetrack here, Ken. From an aerial view, it looks a great deal like the famed Darlington Raceway. Let's take a trip around this track. Start at the start-finish line, go down into turn 1, then stay low on the racetrack, then down a long back stretch, dip down low again through turns 3 and 4, then off turn 4, back to the start-finish line. Now, they go into the pits over in turn 3 and come out of the pits coming off of turn 2. Now, down the front straightaway is the fastest part of the racetrack, maybe 15, 20 miles an hour faster than on the other straightaway. So we expect that to be a trouble turn down there because they're going to have to use a lot of brakes getting in there.
A lot of brakes indeed. Let's talk about some of the principles in this race. Ned?
Well, Joe Bessie starting on the pole here today. What a lift it was for him to be starting on the pole. If he could go on and win this race, it would turn around what has been a miserable season so far.
For some drivers, it would be a great year. Todd Bodine is second in the points, led the point standings quite a bit, but he's still winless. He wants to win.
A lot of eyes will be on Dale Earnhardt Jr. here today, making his 4th Busch Grand National start. He's getting prepared to run the full circuit next year, so we'll watch out for him.
All right, the legend, Dick Trickle. He won his first Grand National race at Hickory, North Carolina this year. This man knows the heat, knows how to survive. He's tough.
38 others. They're all rookies here today, have intentions on victory lane. Let's go trackside as we get this one ready to crank.
Mr. Gary Grody, Vice President of Busch Brands and Busch.
Busch Grand National drivers. Gentlemen, start your engines.
The engines have fired. We're getting ready. Coming up next, the inaugural Gateway 300. But first to Hartford, Connecticut for a report from Jim Nance.
Third round competition is underway here in Connecticut on a beautiful summer afternoon, but the golfers, the players, and fans around the world have on their minds the early days of tour life, when one of the pillars of golf, Ben Hogan, quietly and elegantly walked the fairways as one of the giants of the game. You've no doubt heard by now that yesterday, Mr. Hogan, as he was always addressed so reverentially, passed away after a long illness. And today, tributes from around the world are pouring in. Perhaps another legend, Jack Nicklaus, said it best when he said this morning that golf has lost, in my opinion, the best shot maker the game has ever seen. We will all miss him very much. He was a great man. That was from Jack Nicklaus. Coming up at 4 o'clock Eastern Time with our third round coverage of the Cannon Greater Hartford Open, we'll be talking live with Byron Nelson, Mr. Hogan's childhood friend and longtime rival on the links, as well as Ben Crenshaw and Ken Venturi. Ben Hogan dead at the age of 84. And now back to Madison, Illinois.
Welcome back to Gateway International Raceway, and here's your starting grid for the inaugural 300. On the pole for the first time in his career, Joe Bessie, and for the first time in Major League Racing history, an all-main front row with Ricky Craven alongside. Row 2 is Glenn Allen and Joe Nemechek. Row 3, Dick Trickle and Shane Hall. In row 4, it's Mike Dillon and Steve Park. Row 5, Danny Edwards Jr., flanked by Buckshot Jones. Row 6, Matt Kenseth and Elliott Sadler there. The 7th row is Robert Presley and Randy LaJoy. Going to row 8, you have Jeff Fuller and Phil Parsons. Row 9 is Elton Sawyer and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Row 10, Dale Shaw and Mike McLaughlin. The 11th row, Nathan Butke and Tim Fedewa. Row 12 is Bobby Labonte and Todd Bodine. Row 13, Randy Porter and Dale Fishline. Row 14, Scott Legacy and Brad Teague there. The 15th row is Mark Green and Tracy Leslie. Row 16, Chris Diamond and Terry Labonte. Row 17, Jimmy Spencer and Jason Keller. It's Mark Krogh and Johnny Chapman in row 18. Row 19, Lyndon Amick and Kyle Petty. For row 20 in the provisional starters, Kevin LePage and Hermie Sadler. And rounding out the field, Dennis Setzer and Stevie Reeves.
Well, as the cars roll off now onto the track, there were 10 drivers that failed to qualify for this race. What a big disappointment. Bobby Hillin, several big hitters there that you see, names that you hear often, Kenny Wallace and Michael Waltrip, and perhaps the most disappointed of all of those was Kenny Wallace because he grew up in this area.
Let's look at the manufacturer's breakdown. You have 32 Chevrolets in today's field, 5 Fords, 5 Pontiacs, and as you can see, Chevrolet leads the point standings for the manufacturers and wins with 12.
Have 42 cars starting this race today, 240 laps for 300 miles. Fuel window somewhere in the 80 to 90 lap bracket. Total purse of nearly $800,000 here.
Take a look at the in-cars. Elliott Sadler, who crashed his #1 car yesterday, hardly had a moment to get this second car ready. Still ready to go in that Phillips 66 car that he qualified in 12th. Great effort. And here's Randy LaJoie, the point leader. He'll come out of 14th position today. That's the Econolodge camera giving you these pictures from Randy LaJoie, the defending Grand National champion. Phil Parsons, who should be strong here today, he's also in the midst of the pack at 16th in the 42 cars. That channel lock car, big wave from the crowd as they come down the main straightaway here. A little bit longer than that backstretch, much faster. Todd Bodine in the number 36, ready to work from 24th position, the man #2 in points. Here's Randy Porter. He's back there in 25th, getting ready for a go today. And the Sammy Kershaw 84 lumber car. There you see that turn 1 area, so critical here. You're going to see them on the bottom of that first turn. In fact, they're pretty much going to make this a one groove track if they can. It's going to be interesting to see on the start here, buddy, what's going to happen.
Well, you carry so much straightaway speed going into turn 1, and you're right on the bottom. If you get out a little bit, somebody's going to stick your nose under there. That's where contact can happen.
To Dick Berggren.
The heat is already taking its toll. Glenn Allen is down several crew members. 2 of them are in the hospital with heat prostration. The guy who's supposed to change the rear tires, Joe Flores, he's out. He's not going to be able to make it. He is going to be replaced by crew chief John Munson. It is so hot down here, you almost can't stand still. Ken?
They say this track is shaped like an egg, and it's going to be fried before it's over. Coming to green, this time by Joe Bessie on the pole, first of his career. And he did it in style yesterday with a great run. Got him up onto the top. Here he comes, bringing that machine down. Joe Bessie. 34.353 seconds for the mile and a quarter. 130.993. And right alongside, making it a Pine Tree State. Front row, Ricky Craven in the deuce. Green is down. Racing at Gateway International Raceway for turn 1, and Craven puts it on him. Ricky Craven from the outside goes into that first position.
Ned, he just drove it on down in there and took that spot away from Bessie.
Apparently he anticipated Bessie backing off going into the turn, and fortunately he did.
Here's Allen trying to get under Nemechek back there in 3rd spot. Meanwhile, as they come into that flat 3rd, well, not that flat, 9 degrees, but less than turns 1 and 2. From the middle of turn 3 all the way down through here, it's flat on the floorboard. Keep your feet in the heat and go for it.
And then heavy braking as they get to this point of the racetrack, going into that sharp left-hand turn.
And those are rumble strips that you see on the inside of the racetrack. Not a good place to get the left front.
Yeah, that could really upset your car and your day. Look at Mike McLaughlin down on the inside, making a move under Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah, that's Dale Earnhardt Jr., folks. And I tell you what, he did a nice job, qualified 18th, but right now he's caught outside and losing a lot of spots.
Todd Bodine goes underneath him, but that was Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the car number 31 we were watching.
McLaughlin, steady pace. Boy, he's been doing some great running the last month. Stays right up in the top 10 in the point standings. Bodine, number 2.
Whoa, you can see Earnhardt getting a little sideways there in the middle of turn 1. He was just out of the groove, and there's a lot of debris on the outside of the track here.
Dale Fishline in the number 70 from 26. He was so impressive in qualifying for one person in the grandstand. The guy came down and gave him a sponsorship for this race. He's caught on the outside and dropping back. Here's Randy Porter in that Kershaw car pulling up. Now back with the leaders. 3 of 240 laps. I must say that in the first 2 days here, they had lengthy training, which isn't usually seen. They came in a day early. For a lot of these teams, it saved them $20,000 per, which is what it usually costs to come out and take over a track and train on it. And through that, and through qualifying yesterday, nary a problem except Elliott Sadler and Porter. Porter got into the wall in turn 4. They feeling this thing out here, buddy?
Yeah, but Steve Park right now is just in the 3 car there. He's just out of the line. And once you get on the outside net, it's very hard to keep the speed up of the cars on the inside of the racetrack. You can see him there out of position. Look at him go by him as we speak.
Yeah, he'll just have to wait for an opening big enough for him to get that number 3 Chevrolet back in line. He might get it right here. Yes, he did. He got back in front of the car. No, he didn't.
I tell you, he may have some problems. They're just eating him up out there. That's Jeff Fuller in the 40 going through. Let's get down to Dick Berger, and maybe he can tell us more about number 3.
Ken Park's guys were among the many who changed engines this morning. It heated up yesterday in the last practice session, and they are concerned that they may have dropped a cylinder this early in the race. They're not sure what the problem is, but Steve Park dropping back.
And McLaughlin scooting through on the inside.
It looked like, pardon me, Ken, he's having trouble keeping the car down low on the racetrack in the corners. So I don't know. It could be an engine problem, but you can see him still going on by. He's going to the back, buddy.
You can see Todd Bodine there and Bobby Labonte going by 10 feet away. That's not like Steve Park to be that far off unless he does have a problem of some kind. You see Dale Earnhardt Jr. there fixing to pass teammate Steve Park.
Park falling out of the top 20 right now.
Earnhardt wanted to make it 3 deep there, but Tim Feedle pulls away a little bit. So Earnhardt will follow him down into the turn.
Up in front, it's Craven, Bessie, Nemechek, and Allen. 1, 2, 3, 4 with Dick Trickle in that 5th position. There you see your leader, Ricky Craven, with Joe Bessie staying right there in 2nd. And that's the first time that Craven has had a lead since Rockingham in February.
Well, that's hard to believe. He normally runs good in these races, although he doesn't run a lot often.
The car running in 4th there, Glenn Allen, is doing a great job this weekend. Thought he might be fast enough for the pole, but you can see right now he's for real. He is running very well at this point of the race.
For more on Steve Park and the problems with number 3, here's Ralph Shaheen. Now we may have trouble on the track.
Over in turn 2.
Got one in the wall, and that's the number 7 that's come to rest over there, Danny Edwards Jr. And with him goes Stevie Reeves, who had come out of the rear of the field. Stevie Reeves, number 96, that was running in the 36th position, and the 7 up in 10th spot, Edwards. And the nose on that looks just like the nose on the 29 of Hermie Sadler after he collected the wall in the last 5 minutes of practice prior to qualifying, Ned.
That was Elliott, Hermie's brother, that crashed in practice the other day.
Tore up the car so badly they had to go to the reserve car. Only got a lap and a half of practice on it. Came out and still qualified in the top dozen. Stevie Reeves in trouble as well, buddy.
You can see Stevie Reeves moving around inside the car. That's always a good sign. That means he's wanting them to come over there and hook the wrecker to it and see if they can go back in and fix it, most likely. And yeah, it's good to see him. He has the looks like the window net is down, but he's up against the wall and can't get out, most likely.
No, he'd have to crawl all the way across the car to come out the right window, and that's not an easy chore to do because there are a lot of roll bars around in this area, so it's tough to get out on that side. He might have to wait until they hook that wrecker up to it to pull it away.
Edwards, number 7, lies midway through turns 1 and 2, right at the very top, mids to the apex, and then 300 feet down the track into turn 2, Reeves.
Here's that front end damage that Ken was talking about. A lot of damage up there to that automobile, and I don't know, that one doesn't look like it would be easy to fix.
Tell you, if you do make a mistake on a track like this is where Martinsville's real different. You can bounce off those walls and keep on trucking. Here, if you get in trouble, take that car back to the garage.
Anytime you're running over 150, maybe 155 miles an hour down the straightaway and you get into a concrete wall, you're pretty well done.
Craven, Bessie, Nemechek, Allen, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dillon now to 5th, and Trickle has dropped to 6th. Buckshot Jones, who started 10th, moves up to 7th. Elliott Sadler is into 8th. Let's take another look here at what happened.
Well, you can see they got a little contact there between that was one of the Crow brothers got into the 96 there. Stevie Reeves turned him around. I don't know what happened to 7. He wasn't in that particular frame there.
Well, you can see that contact made back there in the turn, and then the 7 car, let's see, he's coming into the picture, I thought, buddy, but he wasn't. We'll keep running here and see if we can pick him up. I'm sure that everybody put their brakes on.
Randy LaJoy getting a low tap. See, LaJoy had checked up.
That's exactly what happens on the interstate or anywhere else. One checks up and the one behind does not have reaction time and gets in the back, and it was just chain reaction.
And that probably started that whole chain reaction back there. We see Steve Park in the pits with the hood up. So apparently Dick Berggren, Ralph Sheen, what's going on down there?
Well, Ned, they knew they were down a cylinder. They just weren't sure exactly why. They didn't know if they had a spark plug coming loose or what. Let's see if we can get a quick word with Tony Uri, the crew chief. Tony, did you find the problem?
Yeah, this spark plug wire jumped off.
All right, well, they replaced the spark plug wire, and he'll be all set to go now. This caution flag, definitely a benefit for Steve Park.
Boy, and then some. Oh, smoker down here, Stevie Reeves, number 96. You get those pins out. Phil Parsons can give us another look here.
Well, I can tell you, he's going to get hit from behind. You're going to see him get sideways right there. He almost lost control, fights back, goes down the back straightaway. Very lucky to hold on to his car.
Great save by Parsons. That was Dale Shaw that got into the back end of LaJoy when he checked up. And away things went. That was in turns 1 and 2. Happened in lap 7. We have completed 10, working 11, with Ricky Craven and Joe Bessie still leading the pack.
I saw him.
CBS Sports coverage of the Busch Grand National Series is sponsored by the Ford F-150. Strength after strength after strength. Mobil 1 100% synthetic motor oil. Nothing outperforms Mobil 1. And by Wrangler. Real, comfortable jeans.
$11 of 240 laps complete, with Ricky Craven and Joe Bessie 1 and 2. Joe Nemechek in number 3 spot. Meanwhile, Todd Bodine is on a roll. He's come from 24th up into 19th as he fights his way into this race. The Gateway 300, the inaugural NASCAR race here. Most of the drivers had their first look at the track on Thursday, and we asked some of them to compare this raceway to others they've competed on.
Well, I think if you wanted to start down in 1 and 2 kind of reminds me a little bit of Nashville, but a little bit bigger.
I think turn 1 and 2 reminds me of Martinsville with just a little bit more banking to it.
It's a little bit like the Richmond track, because 1 and 2 at Richmond is like 3 and 4 here, where it fits the racetrack. It's got a lot, a lot of arc to it.
3 and 4 reminds me a lot of Loudon. You got to really sweep it in. You got to keep your momentum through the middle of the corner, get back in the throttle early.
And 3 and 4 is more like a Loudon type corner, but still yet it's not quite the same. It's banked a little bit more at Loudon, say, for instance.
And I think turn 3 and 4 is a little bit like turn 3 and 4 at Phoenix, so maybe banked a little bit more, but pretty similar to that.
Get a baker's dozen of opinions about this track.
And I don't think anybody knows what this racetrack is exactly like. I think it's unique.
Well, that's one of the appeals of American motorsports, is the fact that there are so many different types of racetracks, and it presents a real challenge to the drivers and the teams in setting the cars up. And so I guess it's just like St. Louis or Madison, Illinois.
Still clearing the track, and we'll be back with more at Gateway International Raceway in the shadow of St. Louis right after this. Tomorrow, the CBS Sports Show takes you to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where Arie Luyendyk and Tony Stewart lead the IndyCar pack at the Visionaire 500. Plus, the Bud Light Pro Beach Volleyball at Union Station here in St. Louis. That's tomorrow, starting at 1 Eastern on the CBS Sports Show. Speaking of Bud Light, the best seat in the house today, inside the cool one, the Bud One there, the Bud One airship flying over Gateway International Raceway to bring us these beautiful shots. One of the drivers involved in that 2-car crash is right now standing by with Dick Berggren.
The medical center, and Stevie Reeves has just emerged from that medical center. Look okay, but boy, that car's beat up. What happened?
Well, I went down into turn 1. The spotter told us there was a crash in turn 2. I was still in the gas, got my hand up, trying to, I wasn't slowing down quick or anything. I was trying to keep my momentum going. I got hit from behind and turned, and I stood on the gas to try and spin it on around, but the wall came too quick and just unfortunately took the Big A car out. Kind of struggled this weekend here, and we had a pretty good car. Last practice, we got it pretty good, and we'd picked up a few spots there, and I think we were going to have a pretty good race car, and unfortunately we're not here to finish the day to see if that's true or not.
How hot is it?
Well, I mean, it's just the beginning. I mean, not near hot enough for me. I wanted to go to the end.
He did indeed, Ken.
Nice guy out of Indiana, Stevie Reeves, getting ready to go back to green, and as they do, they'll take the marker for 15 laps complete. Craven in first, number 2, followed by Joe Bessie, then Nemechek in the 87, Allen in that black and white number 99, and Dillon finds himself now 5th with Dick Crickle, number 64 and 6, and Buckshot Jones, the black 00 up to 7.
Joe Nemechek tried to make a move on Joe Bessie going into turn 1, but Bessie just drove her deep on down into the corner and held him off.
Getting back to speed. This is when you worry most after you've had your rhythm broken out there. Just get into the rhythm of this track, which is difficult. 9 degrees on one end, 11 degrees the banking in turns 1 and 2, 9 up in 3 and 4, where they're coming out of right now, and down the straightaway 15 miles an hour quicker here than on the backstretch. About 1,900 feet long, heavy on the brake. We've got somebody down on the inside making the move.
Mike Dillon making a move up into 4th place. He started 7th, so he's on the move.
Allen dropping to 5th.
Dillon is the son-in-law of Richard Childress, who owns the Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet, and he's making a name for himself in this division. He's really running well this year, and Myrtle Beach had a good chance of maybe winning there.
He won a lot of late model stock races before he came into the Busch Series a couple of years ago.
Looking good at the present time with Craven out in front. Ooh, here's McLaughlin down on the inside of Jeff Fuller. And that Laughlin, number 45, and McLaughlin. Oh, they stack them 3 wide. Todd Bodine looking to the inside. Nothing there.
No, he had to think a little bit differently of that move, Ken. That was going to be trouble when he got down into turn 1. I mean, he's sitting there second in the point standings. He said, I don't need to be making a foolish move right now.
Elton Sawyer in the 38. Drives her down on the bottom and tries to pick up a spot. Right where he wanted to be. He's back in 18th. Now looking up in front. You see Nemechek to 2nd.
Joe Nemechek's driving very well. Todd Bodine, you're riding with him right now. You can see Elton Sawyer's car, the 38, there in front. You can see how much lean these cars have on a flat racetrack.
18th position is Sawyer. And Todd Bodine right there with him.
Okay, you see the car pretty well angled out there square. Watch it in the corner here. The right side goes right down on the pavement as he goes through turn 1 here, trying to get that low line right on the bottom. He sweeps out now towards the outside line, down the long straightaway here. You can see the car levels back out again, but in the corners, the drivers take a tremendous beating on a flatter track.
This is where they're going to really take a beating. Remember, right here in the midst of turn 3, you can put the foot all the way to the floor, keep your feet in the fire, come under this bridge and down this main straightaway and just ride it wide open.
And Ken, that shot we saw there coming off of turn 4, to the drivers, that 9 and 11 degrees looks like it's back the other way when you go into the corners at those speeds. And that shot pretty well showed that it looked like that it was leaning the other way, but there is some banking on this track.
10 Winston Cup drivers entered, only 3 qualified in the top 20, and one of them's leading the way with Ricky Craven. Now you're riding with Randy LaJoie, who started 14th, and he's biding his time.
That hose you see on the top part of that screen there in Randy LaJoie's car, you can see it up there bouncing around just a second ago. That's actually his drinking water. He has a jug behind the seat, and it's got a plastic tube that runs around to the helmet. He can reach up there and get fresh water.
LaJoie now to 12th, and Todd Bodine in 18th in that battle that's going on for the Grand National Championship.
It looks like to me Joe Nemechek may have a little bit faster car. Look at this, a little bump drafting down the back straightaway there. Todd Bodine got a little assistance from Bobby Labonte as they headed into turn 3.
Here they are working their way back out of 4. As you see Todd Bodine still working them over. He's underneath McLaughlin, and that will put him up into that 17th position. Meanwhile in front, Nemechek attacking, going after Craven for the lead. Lap 21.
Ned, it looks to me like Nemechek gets in the corner just a little bit better than Craven. As they start down in there, he closes right up on the back. Not this time, of course, I'm talking about it, but he will close up here in a second. Nemechek looked like he may be a little bit quicker. And another thing, if you're starting to run hot, the last place you want to be is behind another car. It would be a great advantage to lead as hot as it is here today.
So you have Grand National drivers back there in 3rd, 4th, 5th with Bessie.
Craven goes high, and Nemechek goes by, and so does Joe Bessie.
Slipped up just a little going into that corner, and that's all it took to set him back.
Going back to fourth.
What he's doing now, he's checking that car over to make sure it does not have a problem. Maybe a tire going down or something like that. That'll get your attention when you slip.
I was about to ask you, buddy, if you thought those Winston Cup guys had any kind of advantage here, and just at that moment, you saw Ricky Craven slide a little high in 3. Nemechek came through, so did Bessie. Dillon moving along up in there.
Well, Joe Nemechek graduated from this school right here of Grand National Racing, a very good Winston Cup driver now. But you can see Joe Bessie giving him no quarters, chasing him down.
Craven falls to 4th from the lead in one moment up in turn number 3. Yesterday in qualifying, in the first lap, he took the outside row. In his second lap of qualifying, he nearly took the outside wall. He slapped all the way to the outside, was able to get it back and not hurt the car, but he looked like he was going for the record and didn't quite make it. So you see Nemechek now with a bit of an advantage. For more on Joe Nemechek, down to his pits, and here's Rob Shaheen.
Normally at any given racetrack, all these crew members would be up along the pit wall ready to service their driver, Joe Nemechek. But on a hot day like today, they'll stay in the shade and watch our CBS coverage to see how their driver is doing. But there is one crew member down here not afraid to cheer on her favorite driver and to battle the heat, Mom Nemechek. Martha out here cheering her guy on loudly as he comes down the front straightaway in the lead.
By 7/10 of a second, Martha's got him up there.
Yeah, and she wasn't just doing that for the camera, folks. She didn't even know that camera was on her. She does it every lap that he comes around this racetrack.
Joe Bessie stays in 2nd. Then you've got Dillon 3rd, Craven 4th, Allen 5th, Dick Trickle 6th, Sadler in 7th, Kenseth is 8th, Jones in 9th, Shane Hall there in 10th.
Well, Ned, this is the part of the right now, this run right now, what these drivers are doing, they're analyzing what they need to do on their first pit stop. They're talking back and forth to the crew by radio and saying, listen, I may have a problem right now being a little loose. I think 2 rounds of bait will help me so much. Put wedge in it when I come in. And really right now, this is a staging area for later on in the race.
Here's Elliott Sadler tucked right in behind Dick Trickle. So you're looking at 6th and 7th here. Looking at 6th from 7th with Elliott Sadler. He's a brilliant 22-year-old from Virginia with 2 wins to his credit already.
And he has moved.
Go ahead.
Had moved up from the 12th position, so he's marching towards the front.
What's made this guy run so well recently?
He just seems to have a natural talent for driving race cars, and he's a quick learner. He asks a lot of questions, and you know, he's learned from the experience that he's had on the racetrack.
And running weekly at South Boston, that is a real good racetrack for young drivers to get a vast experience on. Also running a lot of racetracks and getting as much information as you can the first couple of years.
Won at Nazareth, and then last week won at Myrtle Beach. And both times he won from the pole, so now he's equal to his brother Hermie in Grand National wins at 2. Here he is, 22 years old, fighting with a 55-year-old Dick Trickle, and that's a good battle. 6th spot. One caution thus far. 28 laps have been completed of the 240 to be run. Battle for 2nd.
Mike Dillon in the number 72 trying to move in on Joe Bessie in number 6, and he's got the inside groove. He should make the pass and does.
Mike Dillon having an excellent day. Welcome North Carolina driver. Had himself a 6 just last week, which was his best career finish, and sure looks good right now.
Yeah, and just behind him you can see Ricky Craven got his breath back, and he's chasing him back down again.
I think you need to take a deep breath after that turn 3 incident.
I think you're right, buddy. He had to take a few laps. He's now moving up on Bessie just to see if that car was okay. He didn't have a tire going down or anything like that.
I think Joe Bessie may be having a handling problem right at the moment. You can see him coming off turn 2, losing a lot of ground to Craven. Craven actually had to put on the brakes just a little bit coming out of that corner.
And look at this advantage. Now it's 1.5 seconds by which Nemechek is drawing Dillon out here as they move toward the 30-lap mark next time by. Dick Berggren has more on Joe Nemechek.
Ken, as well as that car looks right now, it's not handling as well as Nemechek would like. It's pushing, understeering, so when he goes in the corner, it doesn't turn as much as he's turning the steering wheel. So crew chief Brian Patty has radioed to him and said, remember, with a pushing car, take care of that right front. Nemechek's going to have to do that.
Getting those cars to turn into turn number 1. That's the trick under heavy braking. You just can't lose that inside groove there. Here's Nemechek staying out in front now by 1 8/10 seconds, buddy.
Yeah, you know, even with the problem right now, he's the quickest car on the racetrack. But I'm not sure. Mike Dillon looks awfully good early stages of this race.
Well, Nemechek, it has to be very gratifying to him to have a problem that he has and be pulling away from the field. Say, man, if we can get this thing fixed, what will we be like?
That lead is being cut down a little now. In the last lap, Nemechek came down some. Must have gotten a little hard there. The car moved up on him. 1 3/10. And there's Martha Nemechek, Mother Nemechek, looking on. Guess who's back in the main straightaway?
Man, I can tell you, it's not easy being in the pits. You can see her. That's hard work.
Sure is.
She needs a cooler down there. Some kind of a ventilation system.
Here's Craven trying to take over third.
Looks like he's almost there. Down on the bottom of Joe Bessie.
That's a foregone conclusion. When you get on the inside going into turn 3, watch Bessie back off there. Give him the room, and along comes the 99 there of Glenn Allen.
So Glenn Allen, who was 4th, comes back up to 3rd, and Dillon slips back into that. Out in front, Joe Nemechek continuing to lead the way. CBS Sports coverage of the 1997 Inaugural Gateway 300 will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Click on CBS Sports Line for the on-the-fly updates, complete Busch standings, and a special cover story on Randy LaJoie and Todd Bodine, plus a full race wrap-up. It's all here at cbs.sportsline.com. Well, we're 37 laps now into this 240 lapper.
And Jimmy Spencer has a problem.
He's got himself in the wall, turn 2. Spencer, who had qualified well for this race. This would be his 7th start of the season and was hoping to really get this one wound in. He wanted to be here, loves this racetrack. Told me yesterday, he said, hey, this is the kind of place where I can really go. Well, he's gone. Here's Spencer getting fired up again, but you can see that one's taking some abuse, buddy.
Yeah, you can see the right rear corner there, Ned. It's got a lot of damage. Also, I'd say the right front has to be folded in just like the right rear.
Yeah, the left side looks okay, but the damage is to the right side. You'll have to come into the pit and see what I can do. Let's see if we can see what happened. Looks like he just got high coming off turn 2. Couldn't get traction. And see the back end hits the wall right there.
And along comes the front end right into the wall. You can see the black marks on the wall as he went by. The right front got in pretty hard also.
So Jimmy Spencer out of Berwick, Pennsylvania, not going to enjoy his day here in the warmth of St. Louis, Missouri, Madison County, Illinois. Second caution of the day. Ooh. Smoked that one into the wall. Jimmy Spencer in number 20 out of it. Nemechek's your leader. Dillon stays 2nd. Craven 3rd. Allen's 4th. Joe Bessie back in 5th. .41 laps complete, 199 to go. The action now focuses on pit road. Here's Dick Berggren.
And there's a lot of action down here right now, Ken Squire. The teams are allowed 3 sets of tires. Leader Joe Nemechek has just taken his first of 3. They made a minor adjustment to the car to try and get rid of that push. And Nemechek is out. Let me tell you guys, it is so hot down here. The buckets that they had filled with ice when this race started, they are now water, almost exclusively water.
And warm water at that. Remember when we started this race, temperature was 94 degrees. That was just out in the breeze. Down there in the cars, when they were not even running, it was at 110 degrees before they turned the motor on, Ned.
Boy, that is tough to to deal with, and it's probably tougher on the pit crew members and maybe our guys in the pits down here than it is on the drivers. Let's go back to the pits and Ralph Shaheen.
Ned, here's a high-tech way to beat the heat if you're a driver. This is a heat shield that comes from NASA. It's the same thing they use on the outside of the space shuttle to help deflect heat as it re-enters the atmosphere. For about $300, you can put enough of this in the cockpit of the car to take about 125 degrees of exhaust temperature out and away from the driver. Now, if you need a low-budget way to go, styrofoam cups. These are great. You just squish them down, put them down inside the soles of your driving shoes, and it'll help keep the heat out of your feet. Think about it. You put hot coffee, hot tea in here, and your hands never get hot. This, you can just take off your buddy's transporter.
Pretty innovative.
I think I'm going to go with NASA myself. I just barely have enough room in my shoe for my foot.
Hey, coming up next, third round coverage of the Canon Greater Hartford Open, plus a look back at the magnificent career of Ben Hogan, who passed away 2 nights ago. We have a leaderboard here for you. That's Wayne Levy after 2 rounds, 11 under. Chambly at 7, tied with Meggert. Steve Pate right there as well. That's coming up on CBS later today. We'll take a commercial break and be back ready to go racing once again here at Gateway.
This CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Econo Lodge. Spend a night, not a fortune, at Econo Lodge.
Econo Lodge race summary shows 43 laps complete, 3 leaders, 3 lead changes, 87 miles an hour, a couple of cautions, and 2 cars are already out of this 300. Edwards Jr. and Stevie Reeves crashing at turns 1 and 2, getting ready for a green flag as they come down to get this race back under green. And if you were a Mississippi riverboat gambler down here in the right next to us, St. Louis, you do just what Dale Shaw did, gamble for track position. The number 4 stayed out on the track, and Terry Labonte must have made only a 2-tire change. He's come from 27th to 8th in the course of these pit stops.
Look at Nemechek look to the outside there, trying to take the lead back from Shaw as they head into turn 3. Nemechek had to back out, though he did not quite have enough track position. The 22 there, that's Scott Lagacy. That's a new team, Ned, on the circuit.
Scott, a road racer.
Nemechek in that second spot, challenging for the lead. Let's find out more about him from Dick Berggren.
Ken, there were a lot of worried faces down here in Joe Nemechek's pit. He came down pit road just a few moments ago. They watched as he went by. He didn't stop, so he got back to his second position. The concern, a possible flat tire. Apparently it's all right, though.
Now they've caught Dale Shaw, pinned him on the outside. Here you see that 72 wheeling down through to take a spot. Dillon is there. He's rolling along. Mike Dillon and Craven both pulling up for second and third respectively.
Well, you know, that track position is very important, but to give up new tires, there's other guys having on new tires and him having on old tires. I'm not so sure that he's going to get that much track position if they run for a while here, because they're going to blow him off.
Boy, look at Ricky Craven there. He gets a spot on Nemechek as they head down the back straightaway there. Looks like Craven does not want to run second very long.
For the lead, Nemechek back to first. Craven, the number 2, in second. And Mike Dillon stays right with him in third. Dale Shaw now fourth. Dalton Sawyer to fifth. Elliott Sadler is 6th, and Randy LaJoie, the defending Busch Grand National champion, currently up in front by 37 points over Todd Bodine. He is up, LaJoie into 6th, but guess where Todd Bodine is? We've been checking those rundowns. He's in 8th and looking good.
And Dale Shaw is not looking good, Ken. He continues to go back in the 4 car. Those used tires that he has on there just not working for him, and everybody else with new tires.
You can see down the straightaway, Ned, just what you're talking about. He can hold his own. Now watch in the corner here, right in the center here, it looked like Todd Bodine just stepped on the fuel and started driving away from him there. That's the difference in good tires and bad tires. Now as they get down the straightaway, you can see holding his own.
Shaw has to pussyfoot a little as he comes off that corner or right into the wall. Phil Parsons well back in here in that channel lock car, trying to work his way back up. 21st position right now.
Whoa. Oh, I just saw something. You can see Parsons there shift down into 3rd gear. He went up into 3rd gear. Now watch him at the end of the back straightaway here. He's up in 3rd gear right there. He's able to run it in 3rd. He must have, for some reason, felt that he needed to change gears to get off turn 2 over there. Let's see down the front straightaway if he'll pull it back in high.
Well, Buddy, we've seen that concept with Ron Hornaday Jr. Now he is going to shift back into high on this front straightaway where they run 15 or 20 miles an hour faster. But we've seen Ron Hornaday use that concept on the short tracks recently in the truck series. There he changed it right back again. Hey, that's pretty clever.
Yeah, but I think this is a big gamble. There's no oil coolers allowed on those transmissions. Won't you burn that thing up?
You bet. I'd be a little bit nervous as hot as it is today. But as you say, these are great transmissions. They're made out of almost bulletproof stuff. I think he's already decided he can make it with that transmission.
And he has to have a very close ratio between third and fourth gear in order to do this. It might only be maybe 10 points or something like that.
Well, he's hugging McLaughlin as he stays right there, working his way up through the field. Great pictures here.
Gives Phil a little extra work on this hot day. But
doesn't bother him, and he's good in the heat. Phil Parsons.
And you say you can't turn them, huh? Listen to that thing sing down the back straightaway.
Kevin LePage, who started all the way out in the back as a provisional starter, just up in front of McLaughlin, the red and yellow car, deployed right off the front bumper of Phil Parsons.
All you fans want to know what a race car sounds like exactly. That is it. I feel like I'm in the car with Parsons as he goes around.
Stop leaning on us.
Buddy would never lean on you.
Fight for 19th. Meanwhile, back up in front. Here's Nemechek on the point. Ricky Craven coming after him in turn number 1. The lap is number 52. 188 laps to go. There have been 2 cautions, and they've been slow in getting it back under green each time. They've been very meticulous about getting that track dusted off before they turned them loose another time.
Ned, you and I were just looking at turn 1 and 2 there. I believe are taking a little different run into that corner.
Yeah, they're definitely running a little bit higher than we were earlier. We see Randy Porter headed to the garage area a little bit here.
The Sammy Kershaw 84 lumber car back in the garage area. He's had his day. It's over. That looks like the 3rd retiree officially from the event. We had 2 that crashed out of it. Now Porter, who was running lap down, he is back and looks like he's going to unsaddle. Disappointing day for Randy Porter. Let's get back with this race and watch Craven come after Nemechek. Boy, that's a tough one for Porter. He had big hopes. He told us yesterday he thought he could deal with the heat and that he would be a contender for a top 10 finish today.
Let's see if we can watch them go through turns 1 and 2 to pick up what Buddy was talking about, Ken. See, they're still going in pretty low going into this turn, but as they come off, look how high Craven is coming off of that turn. So the groove is moving up a little bit, and look what he's going to do for him. He's trying to get a nose up beside Nemechek as they head into turn 3. Can he make the pass? Nope, not this time.
On a wait on him, Mike Dillon stays right there in 3rd.
What you do there is maybe the bottom part of the racetrack maybe getting a little slick down there, and they're altering the groove through 1 and 2. Good race car drivers look for a fast way, and if there's a track problem as far as traction, they'll change it.
Got another car running very slowly down the back straightaway out of turn 2 as the leaders come by, and there you see the 63 that is in trouble, and that's Tracy Leslie.
Yeah, Tracy Leslie, you can see he's gotten into the wall really hard with the right side there. The caution is out.
3rd yellow of the day. 3rd caution coming out to Tracy Leslie. Collects 1 here up in turns 1 and 2.
And Dale Shaw might be happy to see this caution. He had dropped back to 10th, which is not too bad. But, of course, if he comes in now, he's going to be back in 37th position. But he might need to get some new tires on his car.
What's going on with this track surface? Ralph Shaheen.
Ken, we're standing over here in the middle of turns 1 and 2. And as you look where the normal racing groove would be, you can see that the racetrack is definitely starting to come apart slowly on the bottom side of the racetrack. That's why the drivers are starting to move that lane up a little bit higher. Some of the drivers, we've been standing out here for about a half a dozen laps or so, are still trying to utilize the lower lane. Every time they come through, though, however, the car tends to push right up the racetrack. They're really tap dancing through here. And remember, NASCAR already dumped 1,500 gallons of water on this track just before the pre-race ceremonies to get the track as cool as they possibly can. but the heat is so high that 1,500 gallons was long gone a long time ago.
Okay, you wonder where this all goes on the bottom part. If you'll look just above this, as you look up here, you can see all this buildup on the top part of the racetrack right in there. Extremely slick. If you get out of the groove just a little bit, you can see the actual rocks building up on the outside there. That's extremely slick if you get in it.
And it's also, if that stuff is pulling up, the aggregate is coming out of the pavement. That'll be just like marbles to try to walk over out there. Take a look at what happened to Tracy Leslie.
Well, we saw that damage on his race car there coasting into the pits. And watch the top of your screen. He just lost it and backed it into the wall. Then the front end comes around. He got up in that loose stuff you were talking about,
Exactly, Ned. You could see the dust flying out from under the tires as he started to lose traction there.
Dirt track drivers may have the advantage here. This is beginning to look like Milwaukee a year ago on that mile when the pavement came up. This can get interesting. Stay with us. Gateway International Raceway under the third caution of the day. Sun-baked crowd here of 55,000. Every seat sold out last Monday. And how warm is it there? Well, here's Elliott Sadler running in 4th place. Notice that he's got a little air coming in there. So this is about the coolest place on the car. And it's showing what? Is that 115, buddy?
115 degrees inside. Wow.
With more on the heat, Ralph Shaheen.
Again, one of the newest inventions that's working pretty good is a thing called the thermoelectric heat exchanger. Mike McLaughlin is utilizing it today. It costs $5,000 and it weighs 27 pounds. It's this little cooler you see sitting behind the seat. Looks like it's wrapped in aluminum foil. What it does is it sucks air in off the right side of the car, cools it down to about 10 degrees less than what it is outside. It's about 110 degrees today, and blows it up around his face. The thinking being, you keep the head cool, you keep your driver cool, he stays calm, cool, and collected on the racetrack.
McLaughlin in 17th position, having a very good year, staying up in the top 10 of the points. 6th position. Nemechek stays 1st, Craven 2nd, Dillon 3rd, Elliott Sadler 4th, Elton Sawyer 5th, and Todd Bodine now in 6th, Terry Labonte in 7th, and LaJoy back to 8th, Ned.
But I think that his car might not be working as well as he'd like for it to right now, but he's in a good position. He's in the top 10. I think that's where he'd like to be right now.
Well, when Leslie got sideways over there, he dropped back just a little bit when the yellow come out and lost some position.
Remember, Glenn Ellen was running well at the top of this show? Well, let's find out more about it now. Back to the pits.
Ken, just about everything that could go wrong has gone wrong with Glenn Ellen's effort today. First off, they had the crew members that wound up in the hospital from heat exhaustion. That really hurt them on their first pit stop. They lost 12 spots on that first pit stop. Now the car is beginning to heat. Allen cannot close on the car that is in front of him without the temperature gauge pinning itself. So he's in serious trouble and dropping back.
There's Terry Labonte. Had that start way back like 37th. Now you find him in 7th position, just ambling up through the field, and he loses his sponsorship at the end of this year. It's going to Buckshot Jones, as that sponsor wants to make a major run for the Grand National Championship a year away.
But I'll bet Terry Labonte won't have any problem finding another sponsor for his limited schedule.
He's picked up 25 spots today. Always in there, Mr. Consistency. The Iceman, great day to have him in a race.
Yes.
Here's Phil Parsons in the channel lock, number 10. Up and down day for Phil Parsons thus far, buddy.
Yeah, you can see that full face helmet now. That is very important because just on that left side right over there, that's where the hose comes in and shoots that fresh air into that helmet. So if you were open face today, you would be breathing that 115 degrees we were talking about.
Now, Phil Parsons is among 6 or 8 drivers who have made pit stops during this caution play.
Phil Parsons had dropped 20 spots. Now you're seeing Todd Bodine in the number 36, who is in 6th. Wiping his brow there, Baker.
Well, you sweat, believe me, even with the good cool air blowing in the helmet that I was talking about. This wraparound right here, that's where you get your, if your neck gets tired, you just kind of lay your head over against that. Boy, does that ever help on a track that's not banked too much.
I never had that when I drove race cars. We were not that far along. The technology was not quite that good.
You and I both learned to drive with our heads on our shoulders, on the right shoulder I'm talking about.
It'll be Tuesday or Wednesday before you can get it back up, restart. restart on lap 60, and immediately it's Craven coming right back after Nemechek for the lead.
He wanted to strike quick, Ken, and did, coming off turn 2, but it didn't work.
Mike Dillon sustaining that third spot. He pulls up a little on Ricky Craven.
Look how Craven moves in on Nemechek and going into the turns and through the turns. His car looks like it's handling much better than Nemechek's right now. Down the straightaway, Nemechek's handling okay.
I think Joe Nemechek's car runs much better after 3 or 4 laps. Once he gets heat in the tires, he seems, right now you can see they're looking for a place to run on this racetrack so they don't get loose like we saw Tracy Leslie and get into that outside wall. So they're hunting right now for the places you get good grip and don't get down in the part of the racetrack that's peeling.
Every driver told me you had to stay in. If you got trouble in the back straightaway, 1, 2, 3 automobiles, 4 collected.
I see Robert Presley's in it. He's up against the outside of the back straightaway wall over there. That's Lyndon Amick in the 35, turning around.
Lyndon Amick out of that team Amick. They had their problems in qualifying and made up for it.
There's Robert Presley right there in the 47.
Robert Presley badly torn up. He took the brunt of this one. Lap 62, caution is out again, and it's in this critical turns 1 and 2, which is tearing up. Started to say every driver had told us the whole trick here was to stay on the bottom of the racetrack. They can't do that anymore. They've got to move up a lane, and when they do, they're in the marbles. Here's the result.
Sheet metal just completely scratched away there on that right side. And you can see Robert Presley moving around in there. He's already removed his helmet, has the window net down on the other side to let the officials know that he's okay.
Boy, those door bars right there did a great job. You can see a lot of contact right in that area there. If that would have been a regular road car, they would have went right through the car. Those bars did their job.
There you see Robert Presley out of the car. He replaced Jeff Fuller earlier in the season in that ride. And that's just a victim of circumstance. The circumstance, that first and second turn breaking down severely. From the blimp, maybe we can get a picture of exactly what happened.
Well, we see 4 cars running together right here, and let's see what happens as they come off of turn 2. You can see Presley's car get up next to the wall. He just got up in that loose stuff that Buddy was talking about, slid sideways, and then others coming on, hitting each other, and 3 more getting involved.
That was Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 31 in that scrape. Phil Parsons giving us this picture.
Yeah, he was back at the back of the pack, so he saw a lot of it and made a good move. There he's changing those gears, but that was to get out of the way that time.
Dale Jr. took a lick. Not a thing he could do. There's the 47 breaking away. There's the 31 coming in, the white and blue car. And they're going to take some time and try to blow off some of this stuff that's come up out here, this aggregate in turns 1 and 2 before we get going. CBS Sports coverage of the 97 Inaugural Gateway 300 will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the Busch Grand National Series is sponsored by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR. Econo-Lodge. Spend a night, not a fortune at Econo-Lodge. And by AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
Budweiser blimp and its eye in the sky camera, proud to provide you with these live shots 1,000 feet above Gateway International Raceway, just over the Mississippi River from St. Louis in Illinois. Hey, tonight on CBS, big night of action-packed adventure. Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, followed by Early Edition, and then Walker, Texas Ranger. That's tonight on CBS. Here this afternoon, some of this crowd sold out a week ago. Every last single solitary seat. And Heat catching some of those folks too today. That's the story right now, even along pit road. The pit meeting today, Ray Hill was down there talking, and ministering to the drivers about making sure not only they but their crews took on a lot of water and stayed cool and as easy as they could through the morning before we got down to race time. Here's Dick Berggren with more.
Ken, the heat is really taking its tolls on the crew right now. The number 74 car, LaJoie, danced like the fuel man, is cramping up as a result of the heat. They have gone up pit road. They're going to try to borrow somebody from Jimmy Spencer's car because Spencer has dropped out of this race. He's not the last guy that's going to go down this afternoon. I'm going to tell you, it is just excruciating down here.
Yesterday, in the course of practice, after they had qualified, we saw the NASCAR flagman go to his knees in the heat, and they had to get a replacement up on the stand. Baker, you always did so well in the heat, and I heard all those stories about you running around Charlotte, North Carolina, the windows rolled up and the heat on. Is all that, and the sauna stories about you about a week before you'd go to Talladega?
I tell you what, you cannot be in too good shape to drive a race car. You have to do everything you possibly can. You have to eat right, you have to sleep right, you have to do everything, and you also have to work out a bunch. But even at that, sometimes, I don't know what it is, sometimes the car itself is extremely hot, and every driver has experienced the time he wanted to call it quits.
Ken, I'm sure that Buddy and I both have run on days that are as hot temperature-wise as it is here today, but there was a big difference in the race car. These race cars are hotter today. They get hotter inside than the cars that I drove, at least, and Buddy went through a period when it was getting where they were getting hotter inside. But right now it's 150 degrees on pit road.
I tell you what, I don't care what kind of shape you're in, 150 degrees, that's hot.
We'll be back with more from the hot Gateway 300 after this. Charlotte, North Carolina, home to American stock car racing. Join us tomorrow as the Indy Racing League starts their invasion of the South. The Indy cars reaching speeds of over 200 miles per hour. Tony Stewart won the pole at 217, but doesn't see the race as being a runaway.
I think a lot of guys have a pretty good handle on what the setups are here, and even though there's a few more bumps here than what we had at Texas, I think you'll see a lot of side-by-side racing and a lot of close racing. You won't see anybody really take off and run away from the field.
Tomorrow, the Visionaire 500 from Charlotte, here on CBS Sports. Let's go down toward the infield care center. Ralph Shaheen is there with a couple of drivers in that latest incident.
Ken, that would include Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Robert Pleshley. Let's start with Robert. Robert, what happened out there?
Just the racetrack, is pretty bad shape. Just a lot of gravel out there. And went off in one there and just trying to get back down in line there. And a car come out, got in the wall, and lost it there. And, here come little Dale. There wasn't nothing he could do, Heck, you're moving down off that corner and just got hit, but we was finished before them.
Can you assess the track situation for me? How bad is it really?
On about 1 to 10, it's a 9. It's fixing to be a 10 here the last 200 laps. It's terrible.
Is it blazing hot inside the cockpit?
No, it's not too bad. We prepared the car there this morning, and heat wasn't no bad deal. You ain't running fast enough really out there to get hot, so.
All right, let's check in with Dale. Are you okay, and what's your assessment of the track?
We're in good shape. Track's starting to come up a little bit in 1 and 2. 3 and 4 ain't that bad, but I've noticed after about probably 30 laps, there's a lot of gravel coming up on the bottom groove, and really, it's just all over the racetrack now. Wasn't much we could do with it. With a wreck there, Robert kind of come down the track in front of us. I was on the outside of another fella, and just too bad for the stick of Monte Carlo, because despite the track position we had a good race car and a good handling car, and I was out there they were out there teaching me some lessons, and by halfway of the race, I figured I had it all figured out, and we got to the front and had some good track position.
Obviously, there's a lot of people intrigued by you and your last name, but you're not getting handed a silver spoon here. You're doing this the hard road. Tell me a little bit about you and your very young crew chief and what you're trying to accomplish here.
Well, my crew chief's just 22, just turned 22, same age as me. His name's Wesley Sherrill, and we're just hooked up together to try to learn how to get around these new racetracks and work on these race cars. Same old thing everybody else has done growing up in the sport. The guys out there ain't gonna hand it to us, and they sure race us real hard today, and it's just kind of hard not to get swept up in it and going in them corners 3 wide and stuff like that. You get back out every once in a while. We just had to get used to doing that and realize how long the races are, because they're a lot more longer than we used to.
Ken, this is one young driver with a famous last name that's not having anything handed to him. In fact, as much as he's getting, he ought to change his last name to Smith.
The Intimidator's got to be proud of that kid.
Well, he must be proud of him, and he's doing it exactly the way his daddy did it.
You know, we hear a lot about the crews being hot, but they got a lot of good things down there, too. They have these tents to keep them in the cool there, block off the sunshine. Some of them are getting hot, but they do have something down there to keep them a little cooler.
Going green as they come up. They will have completed 70 laps coming to the line. 70 of 240 complete. Back underway. Nemechek, Craven, Dillon, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. On the last restart, Craven tried to make a move coming off of turn 2. He's trying again this time down on the inside. He might have it again.
Newburgh, Maine's Ricky Craven, bottom of the track, has Nemechek pinned going into 3.
He takes it right away from Joe Nemechek. Whether he'll be able to hold on or not, that's another question. But he got that run he's been trying to get every time. And I'm sure Ricky Craven realizes the place to be is out front. You can pick your own line. You run the racetrack and not the other car. When
Here comes Mike Dillon as well, buddy. Take a look at that down on the bottom. He's headed.
Mike Dillon having a great run here today. Might be his best super speedway run of his career.
He's up to second spot. Nemechek falling to third. So we have now completed 71 of 240 laps. We've experienced 4 caution flags. Ricky Craven was the early leader. Then he blew it in turn number 3. Went high, gave it away. Nemechek led for approximately 35 laps. Craven has been tending to his knitting, and he's back up in front. Meanwhile, the battle for the championship continues. Randy LaJoie is now in 9th, and Todd Bodine, the guy who's second, the challenger, has moved up to 5th. The track breaking up in turns 1 and 2.
Here comes Terry Labonte trying to get by Elliott Sadler as they go down the back straightaway. You see him taking the low line as we switch back to the first 3 cars here.
That was for 6th that they were battling for. There you see the first 5.
9-degree banking up here in turns 3 and 4. Here's Mike Dillon. Closing ground and looking very strong here at the present time.
I don't think he's closing ground. I think he's leading the race as they head down the back straightaway. Mike Dillon is now leading and looks to be very strong.
Unbelievable run by Mike Dillon. Around Craven now. Getting himself first spot. He's dumped off Nemechek. Now Craven. And Dillon, for the moment, has the lead. Let's see if Craven's going to try and take it back on the bottom.
He might try it, but Dillon is getting off these turns very, very well.
Take a look at how Mike Dillon pulled into first place.
Boy, he got a run off 2, and the 2 car slipped a little bit. Ricky Craven slipped a little bit, and Dillon took advantage of it. Drove right under him to buy him on the straightaway and into turn 3.
It does look like they're running on dirt out there today, buddy.
Exactly. You could see that Craven started off turn 2. Got out there like Robert Presley a little bit and said, no way in the world, I'm going to stay in the throttle. He backed off it just enough that Mike Dillon made the move there.
So Mike Dillon having his day in the sun here, doing a great job.
They say this track is shaped like an egg, and it sure is an eggshell walk if you try to stay up in front. You have got to be so tender with that throttle.
I tell you, heat is one of the biggest enemies of asphalt, especially new asphalt.
Oh, we've got another one. Got 2 more solidly in the wall. Hard hit. 5th caution of the day. This is coming out at lap 76 as this track continues to devour Grand National cars. Kyle Petty's involved in the 49, and Dale Fishline's car, number 70, down at the bottom of the track.
This is Fishline's car down at the bottom of the track, and of course it brings out the caution once again. Here we are. This is Fishline's car, and this is Kyle Petty up here on the high side of the racetrack. Lots of damage done to both of those cars. Buddy, you don't hit here and do little damage, you do a lot.
Oh yeah, you're running 150 miles an hour down the straightaway, and you can see Kyle Petty has his screen down. That's to let the workers know I'm okay, and they don't have to run out in the traffic there. They know he's okay, and Dale Fishline also has his net down. Here comes Kyle out of the car.
Not a thing they can do. That track just giving them fits out there. Here's Kyle walking away from number 49.
Those things he's taking off his heel there, that's a new thing that they have to keep the heat off at the back of your foot. And you can see, you just pull it off. It has a little band that goes around the front part of your boot. That's very important. These 9-1 compression engines, they run hotter than the Western Cup as far as the floorboard temperature.
They produce more heat, yes, that comes out into the car and on the floorboard.
Dale Fishline away from the number 70. Had such high hopes today. Guy literally came out of the grandstand yesterday. So impressed with this young man. Gave him a sponsorship. It's all over. Watch here.
Well, we see a car on the outside, and there he goes. That was Kyle Petty, just got up in that loose stuff, as we've seen several other drivers do. And once you get up there, there's no coming back.
I don't know. Phil Parsons lives a charmed life. He's behind every wreck that we've been able to see today. You can see him slow down, go down through the middle part of the wreck there, wreck on both sides of him.
Slow down was the key word there, buddy. You saw several cars pass him. He slowed his car down to get control. He was fortunate somebody didn't hit him in the back when he slows down that much, but he had his car under control so he could drive through there. That was a good, smart move.
We'll take a commercial break and be back with more of this inaugural Gateway 300. Tough one.
This CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Busch Beer, the official beer of NASCAR.
After 78 laps, 4 different leaders, 6 lead changes, speed a very slow 78 miles an hour because of 28 laps, 5 caution periods, and 8 cars are already back in the garage, badly beaten up. Porter overheating, but the others all wrecks. Danny Edwards Jr., Stevie Reeves, Presley, Earnhardt Jr., Petty, Fishline out of this race. Dennis Setzer was also caught up in this last incident. We saw him running on the tail end of the lead lap. But there were 3 cars involved in this latest altercation that have Kyle. Yes, indeed. It's tamale hot up here in St. Louis. Find any remedy you can, even from south of the border, to beat the heat. Dick Berggren has more on that leader at the present time. Mr. Dillon in 72.
Well, Ken, Mr. Dillon had led 6 laps in his entire Grand National career until today. He just crossed under the flag stand and led 6 today. Next time by, he's going to break his all-time record for laps led. But Dean Johnson, his crew chief, with all these crashes, with the racetrack breaking up, what kind of strategy can you use to win this thing?
Well, the strategy we got planned right now is still with gas mileage. When we're going to pit for tires is not going to be a problem. It's the gas, and I'm pretty much going to stick with that.
Now, when you're going to pit, how far can you go?
Right now, I'd rather not say.
Okay, we'll find out, folks. To Ralph Shaheen.
When it comes to Ricky Craven, when he is out front, he's loose. When he's following somebody, he's tight. He prefers the number 2 car tight. That's one reason why he's not leading right now.
Mike Dillon is leading in that number 72, and for the owner, Ron Parker, it's been a long time since they've seen victory lane. 93 up at Indianapolis Raceway Park, where the Grand National cars travel to next. Tracy Leslie was his winner there, and Dillon doing just an outstanding job thus far in the game, and he's able to get through with these corners. Looks like it's still running on a rail when everybody else is skittering, skating, and sliding about. Hey, click on CBS Sportsline for on-the-fly updates, complete Busch standings, and a special cover story on Randy LaJoie and Todd Bodine, plus a full race wrap-up. It's all here at cbs.sportsline.com. We've completed 80 laps, one way or another, and the other 28, 29, just amazingly have been because of this track condition down in 1 and 2. Hey, Dick Berggren, what's the story on this 72? It seems to be the one car that can track in these very difficult turns where the thing's breaking up out there.
Well, it's the old story of handling, Ken Squire. They've been working on spring combinations. They worked on one at Myrtle Beach that seemed to go very well, and they have brought it here as well. The other words that we heard when we talked to Dean Johnson were tire management. They have spent a lot of time working on used tires, trying to get the car to run well. Of course, everybody else is on pretty much the same sort of situation. But, you know, the story in stock car racing so often is how much rubber can you get on the ground and how long can you keep it there. Right now, these guys are doing better at that than anybody else.
Ready to restart here, and Hermie Sadler, you see up on the outside in the car number 1. He's a lap down. Don't know how he went a lap down, but he is. He must have made a green flag pit stop. But Mike Dillon beats him on the restart as they head back into turn 1. Dillon with a good start.
Here comes Ricky Craven. He has this great restart for some reason. You see him trying to make the move like he did on Nemechek on the last restart. They head down the back straightaway. Can't make it go. I'm going to tell you right now, this boy is really driving this car well with 72 there.
3 wide. There's Bobby Labonte on the bottom. And down the middle, and now making it 2 wide. Todd Bodine as Elton Sawyer gets high, and he begins to slide a little.
Yeah, and he knew that he had to get out of the gas and get that thing slowed down very quickly, or he'd be into the wall, too.
You can see Todd Bodine right there getting by Bobby Labonte. Elton Sawyer is off the speed right now, as you can see, going down the front straightaway. He had to almost stop to get going again.
He's got to wonder if he maybe has a flat tire, but he probably just got his right wheels up into that loose stuff that we've been talking about. Well, here's trouble for Dick Trickle.
Dick Trickle did the high slide all the way to the wall. He gathers it up and keeps going. Looks like he's crinkled there a little too, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely has some damage on the rear of that Chevrolet.
No caution out. But Dick Trickle has shortened up to 64 a little.
There are 30 cars remaining on the lead lap. Trickle, of course, is one of them.
Setzer's on the tail end. Chapman back there with him, and Parsons. As Dave Dillon continues to lead with Craven second, Nemechek third, Elliott Sadler fourth, Bobby Labonte fifth, Todd Bodine in sixth, Terry Labonte in seventh, Randy LaJoie is eighth, Bessie the pole sitter back in ninth position, Shane Hall 10th. Coming down to complete 84 laps this time by. Mike Dillon building up a little bit of a lead by 0.4 of a second this time, Ned.
But Craven closes it back down. I mean, Nemechek.
If we watch the leaders go down the back straightaway, the guy that's really on the move right now is Elliott Sadler. He's running fourth right now, just behind the 2 lead cars that we're watching here. He looks to be closing in and has a very good race car. You see him right there. Right there. He's just coming right on up. As a matter of fact, he's already made the pass on Craven.
Nemechek, man on the move. He got around Craven, took over second. Here he closed. Let's see what happened to Dick Trickle.
There he's the red car right in front of the yellow car of Shane Hall.
The back end gets loose there, Ned, in the middle of the corner. You can see him going up, hits the outside wall with the right rear, and then the front comes right back around.
There's no saving once you get in that position. Nathan Bucky has coasted into the pits. He has trouble on his car.
Dick Trickle, turn 2, continues to gobble them up. Snake pit there for all these Grand National stars. Trickle still out there trucking. Kyle Petty is now out of this race, and he's with Ralph Shaheen.
Kyle, what was it that took you out? Was it the racetrack?
Well, I'm going to blame part of it on the racetrack, part of it on my stupidity for running high. The high groove worked for me early, and I was making it work, and then the racetrack just tore up a lot worse in the short 20 or 30 laps between the cautions and stuff. And you know, I got up in the marbles and did the same thing Spencer did. I watched Adam run last night up at Nashville, and he did such a great job up there. I was proud of him. That I thought the high groove was going to be the way to go, but it worked for him. It didn't work for me. I'd like to say hey to Patty and Adam and Austin Montgomery back home. I haven't been home in about 3 weeks, so I'm going home tonight, so it's good.
How hot is it out there, and what's it doing to the track in your judgment?
Well, once the racetrack starts to come apart, it continues. So it's tearing it up, and the heat's not helping it, but, you know, that's not the only factor.
Ricky Craven's found it's not the only factor. He was running in fourth. He slapped the wall. He's out of it. Cautions are plenty here. That would be what, the 6th of the afternoon. 6, and we've only gone 87 of the 240 laps. Track's tearing up. Craven's the latest victim. He was frustrated the first day here. Then he got that qualifying run, put it on the outside of the front row, and things were better. Bet they're not too good for Ricky Craven right now as he clambers out of this one. His Winston Cup career after that great ride at Daytona when he finished third in the 500 here on CBS. Been a downhill skid for a while. Wanted to do well here in St. Louis. Major sponsor comes from this part of the country.
You could see him start to get out. He had to unhook a few more things. That's the hose right there that we were talking about where the fresh air comes in the helmet. He seems to be just fine, which is good. They can fix the cars.
Here's how it happened.
He's just wide there. Now watch the back of the car. It'll start around right here. Ed, as he goes up, he's a victim right there. He cannot save it.
Once those right tires get up in that asphalt that is broken loose and slid up to the upper side of the track. Let's just listen.
Comes to a rest right by our camera down there in turn 2. Well, that's a tough way to go for Ricky Craven. Just gutting the marbles. That's all it takes. End of his day.
Hey, here's the way to go watch the race. Take your motor home and then get your TV out. Sit there and watch us.
Ma, get out quick. Got to see this. We'll be back with more in a moment. Coming up next, third round coverage of the Canon Greater Hartford Open, plus a look back at the magnificent career of Ben Hogan, who passed away 2 nights ago. A lot of folks down in the garage area right now here at this new Gateway International Raceway, and here's Dick Berggren with some of the stories.
Garage, Ken, looks more like a junkyard. Some of these cars, this is Earnhardt's car, and some of these cars are so bent up that the crews are having to work on them just to get them up in the haulers. There's the whole nose of this thing is all bent. Frame is all bent. The exhaust system all pushed in. Craven's car is on its way by. Fishline's car, they can hardly move that. The 47 is up here. A lot of very expensive damage has been done so far today.
And we're only 90 laps now into this 240-lap race. This is going to be a toughie, Big.
It is that, and the one thing you have to be very concerned about is where do you run now? As the track starts to peel, and you can see, Ned, you can show the people here on the telestrator, all this is just loose rock that's going up there. Where do you run? You have to be very careful not to get the right side out of the groove. If you ever get out where Ned's showing right now, you're in trouble.
Well, we haven't seen any big chunks of asphalt come out. There's no holes in the pavement. But what happens, little gravel comes out of the asphalt, and as you said earlier, then it goes right, it throws it right up to the outside wall, and it's just like getting on marbles. And these tires are slick. They don't have tread on them, and so when they get up there, they can't get traction. I mean, it's just when we say they get up in the loose stuff, that's what it is. It's loose asphalt that's accumulated up at the upper side of the racetrack.
See Dick Trickle's car being worked on. We saw him get stuffed in the wall a few laps ago. That did not bring out a caution. Boy, they've got a lot of peeling to do to get that car straightened away enough so it won't be rubbing on the tires. Out comes the tape. Tough day for Dick Trickle.
But he's still on the lead lap.
With 27 others as we get ready to come to green and get going once again with Mike Dillon, a graduate of motocross. As a kid, he won all kinds of races in the American Motorcycle Association. And he moved into stock cars in 1992. Looks like he was born to them, the way he is running right now in number 72 up in front.
And Bobby Labonte sitting there, he's just like his brother. They call his brother the Iceman. Bobby Labonte's very patient too, and has moved all the way up in the 4th spot.
Green is down. Dillon, Nemechek, Elliott Sadler back into 3rd. Bobby Labonte 4th. Todd Bodine is 5th, and Terry Labonte in 6th. LaJoie is 7th. There's that move down into turn number 1 by Nemechek that Craven tried. Made stick once. Trying to get under Dillon, but that's not going to happen here.
You can see Dillon right there in the 72, Nemechek in the 87 as they head down into turn 3. Turn 3 is not a problem today right now. It does not seem to be peeling quite like turns 1 and 2. But as you can see, they're single file through there. Nobody's going on that outside.
But here they're trying to get too wide. The 00 is Buckshot Jones, the 99 Glenn Allen, who qualified 3rd today as they get down into single file. Careful. And Dillon got high. And look here. Nemechek has taken the lead.
We've got another one in the wall. There goes the number 80. That's Mark Krogh getting around. Let's see if that's going to bring out a flag. It does. We've got another caution on the track. And Ricky Craven's another guy out. He's totally out. He's down there in the pits right now.
Well, Ken, he started up front. He ran up front virtually all day until that incident. What did happen up there, Ricky?
Well, I had a right rear tire equalized, and I knew it. I should have pitted. You know, I had the chance and suck it out. And then when we went green, it was just so loose, and it got worse and worse. But I enjoy running these races for Ray Bestis. But my priority is that Bud car. You know, opportunity of a lifetime. I'm going to concentrate on that next year and put somebody in this car and be a car owner on Saturday and drive on Sunday.
Wait a minute, you mean the help wanted sign is out?
Yeah, the help wanted sign. You know, Ray Bestis and Budweiser, two of the greatest sponsors in the world. And I really appreciate what they do for me. Looking forward to Indy next week.
Well, that's the first time we've heard that, Ken Squire. He is leaving this series in order to concentrate fully on Winston Cup.
Although we hear that Terry Labonte may be along that same path. He may run a few races, but as the Winston Cup schedule begins to fill in more Sundays, less and less an opportunity to come back for him and run in Grand National, which he loves to do. Here's what happened to number 80, Mark Krogh.
Well, they were about 4 wide in there, and he probably got touched a little bit. Round he went.
Waltz me around again, Mikey.
See it here. You can see how they really get bunched up coming off the turn. Wham, right into the wall, buddy.
Well, Dan, you can see Mark Krogh. He was on the very outside there, and I think maybe he just veered out into the loose rocks that we've been talking about in the round cup, because I didn't see anybody get into the back of him.
Rex Stroon, CBS Sports coverage of the 1997 Inaugural Gateway 300 continues after this message and a word from your local station. Tomorrow, the beach comes to St. Louis. Gabby Reese is expected, and the Women of the Beach Volleyball Tour. Union Station will host the Bud Light Pro Beach Volleyball. It's live. That's live on CBS Sports tomorrow. '96 of 240 laps complete. And the question is Baker going to stay for the volleyball?
I tell you what, wow. I'm going to watch. You can bet on that.
Nemechek leading. Elliott Sadler in second. We have Bobby Labonte up to third. Dillon in fourth after these pit stops. Just saw LaJoy in the pits and back out again. Let's go to Dick Berggren down there.
Clyde McLeod is crew chief for Todd Bodine. He's gone from 24th to 6th. You're right in the hunt for the points chase. Now, with all these cars crashing, with the racetrack breaking up, with all the problems we're seeing here today, how do you play your cards?
Well, Dick, we're keeping our driver as cool as we can with ice bags and talking to him a lot to make sure he's alert and everything. And you got to stay in the groove. That's the trick. The track's coming apart. You get out of the groove at all, you end up in the fence, and that's what's happened to the last 3 or 4 cars. Lobby NASCAR, I don't know if they're going to do it. I suggest stopping at 120, cleaning it up, watering it down a little bit, get it cooled back down again, go back to racing. And it'll be a better race for the fans. But it's just a shame it's got to be so hot on this brand new asphalt and just ruins the race.
Thank you. Yeah, Ralph had talked about all that high-tech stuff. This is the high-tech stuff Bodine is using, ice bags. Ralph?
Well, right now, Randy LaJoy, the current point leader, is listed in 24th position, and you just pitted Steve Bird to change tires because you thought you had one going down. But what is your strategy towards getting out of here and staying in the points lead today?
You know, you got to do what you got to do. We had a right front flat tire, you know. The track's coming up real bad. It's a 50-50 chance here what everybody's going to do, you know. The track's coming up so bad and we got a flat tire, you got to pit, you know. We use one set of our tires, but we got to talk to NASCAR and see if we can't get a little more here with that flat tire.
Green is out. We're back at it. Nemechek, Sadler, Labonte lead them down.
Now, these front cars did not pit, other than Randy LaJoy. So these guys have been out there a while. They haven't had that many green flag laps on their tires since they came.
Joe Nemechek rolls into the lead. Steamroller out here today.
Ed, I believe right now, if I was running in second or third place, I would be happy with track position. I wouldn't press the issue. I wouldn't want to make a move on the outside to take the lead.
Well, I think that's exactly what Elliott Sadler and Bobby Labonte and some of those drivers who run second, third, fourth, and fifth along there, that they are happy with where they are and just sit there and ride.
They may be taking it easy, but that speed shot sure doesn't look that way.
Well, no, they're getting good speed. There's no question about it. But as Buddy says, there's no point in pressing the issue. Get out there and take your chances.
Joe Nemechek, 4 top 5s. He's made 6 Grand National races this year. And look at him trying to stretch it out. But Elliott Sadler in that backup car after he thrashed in turn 2, the car that he really prepared to do this race in. Right there in second.
Mike Dillon is pressing the issue, Buddy. He came right back up there and passed Bobby Labonte. Bobby didn't resist him, let him go right on by. So Mike Dillon now back up to third after losing the lead, went from first to fourth.
I guarantee you one thing. Dillon's car has been extremely strong off the corner all day long, and he just seems to be able to move it well.
There he is. He's the third car on the screen.
Nemechek still deployed in first. Now you're riding back here with that 74. And he's got some making up to do. Remember, he pitted, and he's got to come back up through the field. And that's what he's trying to do right now. He's back in 23rd position. Just took 22nd. Randy LaJoie.
He has to be awfully careful back there in the traffic that far back as we watch Steve Park with the car number 3. He is currently in 6th position.
Average speed down at 75 miles an hour. Like a half-mile track with all the incidents we've been having here. 7 cautions, and 11 of the 42 starters are now out of the event. Joe Bessie from Maine sat on the pole at the outset with Ricky Craven alongside. Craven took the lead and led for a while, bobbled in turn 3, gave it to Nemechek. And then the track began to tear up, and since then, that's the story. Caution after caution. Craven is now out of it. Joe Bessie is back in 7th spot. Nemechek is leading, and he's leading by a whopping 0.8 of a second here in just 3 or 4 laps. 103 of 240 complete this time by Nemechek in front, trying for his 2nd Grand National win of the season. 155 degrees on the track.
As we see Mike McLaughlin in the 34 car trying to move on the inside. Mark Green, and they made contact. There goes Dale Shaw in the car number 4.
That's all for 12th spot. They're all racing for position there, Ned.
David Green, who runs in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series now, is up on the roof, and he's spotting for Mark Green, who drives the number 37. And he probably told him, said, hey, back off there. Don't get up in that loose stuff.
You can see Jeff Fuller in the 45 looking on the outside of Green there. Said, no way I'm getting out there. He backed right off. Hermie Sadler's fighting there in the 1 car just behind Fuller.
Hermie's a lap down, being shown in 28th in that number 1 car. Nemechek stays first. Elliott Sadler in 2nd. Dillon stays 3rd. And the lead now stretches to 1 4/10 of a second for Nemechek over Elliott Sadler. There you see it. Get a sense of the interval as they go around that long 3rd and 4th turn, banked at 9 degrees as opposed to 11 degrees in turns 1 and 2. Just joining us, brand new track shaped like an egg, and it is humbling. These Grand National drivers are having a heck of a time, particularly here in turn number 1. It has scrambled them badly. Bottom of the track tearing up the outside like walking on buckshot out there. Speaking of buckshot, where is the lad?
He's 10th.
He's in 10th.
There he is, 00 right there, floating along.
Having a good race.
That's Shane Hall just in front of him.
He's 10th.
Terry Labonte has dropped back to the 11th position there.
Buckshot Jones is the 00, the black car that is in 10th position. And that's Shane Hall in there, Terry Labonte in the 5. Let's take a ride right now with Elliott Sadler in 29, 2nd spot.
Ned, I'll take him down the back straightaway. You can see Elliott Sadler right against the wall. He'll make an apex into the corner here, right down to the white line with the left front. Staying very, very close to the inside of the racetrack as he goes through 3 and 4. Now he'll start moving out right here, out to the outside wall. down the front straightaway to the start-finishing line.
And he's picking up speed all the way down through here, the fastest part of the racetrack, and then he has to get off the accelerator, get on the brakes, bring it down to the inside once again, and now they're drifting up about a car width up into that second groove, brings it up next to the outside wall again, and that's where we started with it.
Take a look at Bobby Labonte in fourth, the number 44, and this is Todd Bodine directly behind him.
You see Todd Bodine there. Bobby Labonte right now is running a little different line there, Ned. As he started in, he let the car go up just a little bit, then pull it back down. But you can see these two cars are very, very even. If they start down into turn one, we'll look to see how they go through there.
Well, you see Bobby dipping down low, and so did Todd Bodine. Now Bobby goes up. Todd takes a look there, but said, no, don't believe there's enough there now to take a chance to try to pass.
So they stay fourth and fifth.
Wonder how that situation going with Phil Parsons now with doing some shifting here. We don't know if others are or not, but what track conditions should be working very well for him. He's up in third gear there now.
And LaJoy is right in front of him.
Okay, he's running third gear all the way down the back straightaway. Going into three, he leaves it in third gear. You can hear the engine really screaming right there as he starts off turn four down the front straightaway. About right along here, he'll reach up. Or maybe not. Nope. Maybe the racetrack slowed down. He's just using third gear now. Is not pulling it back into high gear.
Yeah, earlier he was on the front straightaway where it is the fastest part of the racetrack, had been shifting to fourth.
Well, Ned, what's happened is the race speed itself has slowed down about 2 seconds. And as you said, it's geared to the point where you don't turn extreme differences between third and fourth gear.
Jimmy Means, number 77, being driven by Brad Teague just in front of him. This is for position. Parsons is 21st. Teague is 20th, and LaJoy has picked up a spot to 19th. Easy on the throttle, back into turn number one. Back with the leaders, Nemechek, Sadler, Dillon, Elliott Sadler, that is, in second spot. The advantage stands at 1.5 seconds for Nemechek as he goes for that second win of the season, the 1992 Busch Grand National Series champion. That year when he had a couple of checkers to his credit. New Hampshire and Indianapolis Raceway Park. Here's first, here's second. Rambling right along in that third spot, Michael Dillon with his finest performance yet and under the most adverse conditions. Here you see Elton Sawyer, 63, very ginger as he goes into that corner.
Yeah, you could see Elliott Sadler go down in the corner there. The lap over car there moved to the outside to give him the preferred line to get through there. Look at Todd Bodine now. He's putting a lot of pressure on Bobby Labonte down in the corner. And makes the pass.
I think it was another situation where Bobby Labonte didn't put up too much resistance. Todd has been stalking him there all along and said, okay, I think he gave him a little wave and said thanks.
Fourth position to Todd Bodine. Bobby Labonte willing to wait. You see 112 with 240 laps complete.
That was an interesting shot there. You can see the tachometer right here. And it was turning just about 8,000 as he starts. That's 8,000 right there. You can see as he goes down the front straightaway, turning a lot of RPM down the straightaway.
Turning a lot of steering wheel into that turn one too, buddy. He really has to saw on that thing to get it to stay down there.
Okay, you can see about 6,500 now. It's 7,000. See it going on up there. That's about 78, 7,900, almost 8 down the back straightaway.
That's a lot of RPMs for a 9.5 to 1 compression engine with the 390 CFM carburetor.
Just joining us, longer main straightaway than the backstretch. Build up a little more as he goes into turn number one and then stuff the brakes. 1 3/10 seconds. Nemechek to Sadler. There you see them, first to second. And then you have Dillon, followed by Bodine and Bobby Labonte. And LaJoy now ready to come after Keller in the 57. Further back in the field. Here's the 72 of Dillon. Here's the 36 of Bodine. Nips right after him down here.
I think Todd Bodine has a great race car. He's being patient, taking advantage of situations when he can, but not pressing the issue. Riding with him now down into turn one as he goes in behind Mike Dillon.
Speaking of Todd Bodine, there's a big rumor going around that he's going to leave this series next year. Oh, you can see him in trouble now coming off the corner. What a great save. He went all the way to the right, all the way back to the left. Finally got the car straight. You can see right now he's off speed just a little bit. That's getting your breath back.
Bobby Labonte got him back.
Yeah, did he actually hit the wall, buddy, or did he just almost do it?
I'm going to tell you what, he scared me. I stood up in my chair right here. Woo.
Got to get that shoulder harness tighter on Baker.
Well, I guarantee you, he knows how bad he is out of shape, and so do I, because I've been in that spot before. When you see him turn right like that and then back to the left real quick, if that thing happens to set up to the right, you cannot keep it out of the wall.
He's doing a great job there.
Glenn Allen's been in trouble with that 99. Dick Berggren can tell us more.
He bounced it off the wall, Ken. He's got right side damage, left front damage as well. He came down pit road just a moment ago with smoke pouring out of the left side tires. You can see it right now. There's a left front tire changer working to get that tire off. He asked for scuff tires rather than the sticker tires. He's going with somewhat used tires. Mark Galloway on the left front. Crew chief, oh boy, look at this. We got a guy from the 47 back here helping with the left rear. Remember, this is the crew whose guys got heat exhaustion yesterday, so they got some help from some of the other teams who had dropped out. Boy, it's a tough weekend for these guys. Not a lot of fun for Glenn Allen's bunch.
Another lap down for Glenn Allen, who had been in 28. Lap down, he's going to go more now. That's for sure. Take a look at what happened to Todd Bodine.
Well, you can see right here, Ned, he's going down into turn one. Now watch him when he comes off over here. You talk about getting out of shape. Now, buddy, he's in trouble right there. Gets it. Whoa, you can see the black marks on the left side where it takes a bite.
Buddy, what do you do with a throttle with something like that?
You do what Todd Bodine did. Watch him really save. That should have been a wreck. I'm going to tell you what, had he not been a young, aggressive young man, he would have eaten that wall up.
Coming back down the main straightaway, Nemechek. I think we've got another caution in the making here. They come to the stripe. No, it's staying green, but here you see that 35, Amick. He's had some trouble, and he's coming in. He's skated up to the wall.
Yes, he has. He'd had some trouble earlier in the race. He made a pit stop about 5 laps ago, and here he is now coming back into the pit. So tough day for Lyndon Amick.
Getting toward halfway in this one.
Boy, look at the damage to the right side. All that white part of there, that's concrete dust where he was up against the wall there.
Dick Trickle just went a lap down to the leaders. They passed him down the front straightaway, so now there are 24 cars on the lead lap.
And Chapman is on the tail end of the field. He and Tim Fiedler back there on the tail end of this group. So it's Nemechek. Can he stay there? 2 9/10 of a second. He's built up a nice lead over Elliott Sadler. Got Mike Dillon in third. Steve Park has pulled himself right back to fourth. And we are at halfway distance. They have got half of this one in. They've had thus far. Oh, we've got 36. Todd Bodine in trouble again. He's able to keep going. There is no yellow coming out.
Yes, there is.
There is now. 7th yellow of the day is on the track. 7th caution is Todd Bodine. Whips one into the wall.
You can see the vibration there of the flat tire on Todd Bodine. He's going back up into the wall there. You could see it vibrating long before he got there.
Yep, couldn't help it.
Make that the 8th. That is the 8th yellow of the afternoon, and it comes at halfway.
And the man in second place in points, Todd Bodine, in trouble.
Meanwhile, the car that has carried LaJoie closer and closer to his second championship with 9 races after today stays 22nd on the field. What a bad break for Todd Bodine. Still looking for that first win of the season. All those second and third places, it isn't going to happen here at Gateway International Raceway. Oh, that looks serious.
They have a lot of work to do. They'll get that car back in the race, Ken, but he isn't going to be competitive.
He'll go a lap down here as they try to get that wheel off, and it's bent, busted, broken.
This is going to call for a lot of parts right out of the war wagon back here. That's what they call those wagons. They have enough parts in there to build a car if they need to.
Dick Berger.
Ken, the biggest problem is at the right front. They've got most of the crew members there trying to pull sheet metal away, trying to get that tire off. The thing is so bent up, the tire doesn't even want to come loose. This is a shame. Bodine had a top 10 in every race he had finished this year. He had finished all but 2. He came in here second in points, ever so close to his first ever championship in this series. This will not help.
Here's what happened.
Oh,
wait a minute.
Help here. The car down underneath.
Buckshot Jones.
And they make contact, and Todd gets up in that loose stuff, and into the wall he goes. Just nothing you can do about it.
Ned, I have to speculate that he had a flat tire after the contact there, because we did see a lot of vibrating inside the car before he ever hit the wall.
Ralph Shaheen.
Well, problems for the guy who was leading the Busch Grand National points as well, Randy LaJoie. He has radioed in and told his crew chief, Steve Bird, that the engine is missing. They have an ignition box out. They're going to take a look as soon as they get a chance to bring the 74 down pit road. For all they know, maybe just a wire has come loose. And it's interesting, Ken, because Randy LaJoie has suffered new track blues this year. He had an ignition box problem at Las Vegas, where he finished 29th, and he suffered a penalty at Texas while running second in the race. He fought his way back to a 9th. So if he has problems here again today, that hex won't go away. And even worse is the fact that there's one more new track on the schedule in the chase of this championship coming up later in the year at California.
Leaders are all coming on to pit road, Ralph. Here's Nemechek in. He's showing some battle scars as Elliott Sadler passes him. And you see the 72 of Mike Dillon, and Steve Park, who fell way back at the beginning of this race, is back to 4th position. The pole sitter, Joe Bessie, he's come back to 5th after being out of the top 20 at one time. Here's Nemechek, your leader. You can see the scars on the right side of that one, buddy.
Yeah, you can see where the tire marks are right there on the door. That's where somebody got into the right-hand side of his car.
Buckshot Jones had stayed in 7th position. He didn't get any damage in that altercation with the 36 of Todd Bodine. Dick Berggren.
Todd Bodine sitting here on the back of one of the war wagons. What happened to you out there, bud?
Well, victim of the racetrack. The racetrack's coming apart pretty bad. Seems like if somebody runs through the groove that's coming apart right in front of you, it just kicks it all up in front of you. That's what happened to me 2 laps in a row. Actually, the first lap I got a little high. Second lap, Buckshot got under me. He got in that stuff and got into me. I mean, it wasn't his fault. I mean, that's the way the racetrack is. They need to shorten the race. It's bad down there. 3 and 4 are starting to come apart a little bit. Off of 4, there's one spot. But it's a shame, I tell you. We struggled all weekend to get this car running. Last practice, we finally got it to where it was pretty good, and we showed it. We came to the front. I hate it for Stanley and Harnage Machine Tool, all our sponsors. These guys, man, they worked their rear ends off this week here. I mean, we changed everything but the race car.
They did do a great job. They really did. It's unfortunate. You can see the disappointment on Todd Bodine's face. Terrell Shaheen.
Well, they think it was one side of the distributor that was bad on the 74 of Randy LaJoie. Steve Bird and crew dove down in there to take a look at it. They think they got it fixed, and they got him back out there. Let's check in with him real quick. He's talking to Randy. Steve, what was the problem?
Well, we think it's a distributor. I'm waiting to hear from him now if it's straightened out. It started breaking up bad. We'll find out here in a minute.
Kim?
Well, we'll follow that story. Steve Bird, the crew chief for Randy LaJoie, as the 2 contenders for the championship, one back behind the wall, the other may be in trouble. Stay tuned.
Third round action is underway outside of Hartford, but yesterday at the final hole, Wayne Levy for par, and he establishes a 36-hole record here, 129, 11 under. He's picked up another birdie to lead by 3 over Jeff Maggart. Third round action coming up shortly.
We're back with 115 laps remaining. 125 complete here in the heat. It is a hot one. The Gateway International Raceway has turned into the Devil's Gateway. Bubble, bubble, boil and trouble down here in turn number 1. The asphalt's become a black broth. Stay with us for more of this Grand National race. Flag to flag coverage on CBS. 1.5 laps back from the 8th caution of the day. Elton Sawyer had been. Nemechek is in the wall. Joe Nemechek just passed Elton Sawyer, who came out of that caution period in the lead. Going down into turn number 1, he overdrives it. He has to pick it off the wall. Don't believe there's a caution here. Elton Sawyer back in front, and now Nemechek, who has dominated this race. He's coming in. Do you believe this one, buddy?
I cannot believe it. I tell you what, he didn't fall victim. He just went out there and got a little bit high, and that's what happens. You're getting that loose stuff. Look at the right side damage to his car there. Quite a bit of damage. I guarantee the rear house is knocked over, and the right front has some damage.
Looks like he hit pretty flush on the wall, and a lot of damage. Dick Berggren?
Well, he is seriously damaged to the point that he is going to make the hard left-hand turn. There it is, Nemechek on his way to the garage. There is a good possibility that something broke in that car before he hit the wall. We're going to go find the answer to that.
Yellow's out, 9th time. Yellow is on the track. We have another car in trouble. The number 80 is in trouble. That's Mark Rowe. So we get in a couple, and then we're back under yellow again. And that's eating up most of the laps. As we said, the Gateway International becomes the Devil's Gateway for a lot of these Grand National stars this afternoon. It's just devouring them. Hotter than the hinges here, and it's torn up the racetrack on both ends. Mark Krogh waiting for assistance out there on the track. Nemechek right back to the garage area as the retiree list continues to build. Craven is out. Legacy is out. Petty, Fishline, Presley, Earnhardt Jr. among those that have retired. And now Nemechek. Here's Dick Berggren with him.
Joe, what happened?
What a day. His Bell South Mobility and the Kia Chevrolet was running good. I think we had the car of the field. I went to pass Elton there, and, you know, we've been having problems with the track coming up, and just got in the corner, and the thing pushed up a little bit, and all the stones, they blew the bottom half, but all the stones were up at the top, and as soon as the right front hit it, it just slid up into the wall. Just a shame. These guys worked so hard. We were awesome today.
Yes, they were, Ken Squire, and 4 of the 6 races they have run in 1997, they have finished in the top 5. It looked like another one until he found that wall.
Led 74 laps. Let's take a look at that pass. Got this underway.
Well, Elton Sawyer was in the lead in the Ford number 38, and here comes Nemechek coming off of turn 3 and gets on the inside to take the lead. That was 1 lap after they took the green flag. Okay, he takes the lead, comes out of turn 2, and as he said, the car pushed up a little bit, got up in that loose stuff, and there he goes. And Elton Sawyer was lucky that he didn't come back down into him, and also he got it all the way back down on the inside of the track to allow others to go by on the outside.
Elliott Sadler, Steve Park making their move, and that number 2.
They hit that wall pretty hard.
And you are right. Lucky he didn't collect 2 or 3 more out there. With Ned Jarrett, Buddy Baker, Ken Squire here. Just on the Illinois side of the Mississippi River at St. Louis, where Gateway International Raceway continues to take its toll.
This CBS Sports Race Summary is sponsored by Wrangler. Real, comfortable jeans.
After 132 of 240 laps, we've had 5 leaders, 8 lead changes, slow race because of 9 caution periods of 47 laps and 15 cars. I think this is going to be the highest attrition of the season for the Grand National, as Gateway International Raceway in its inaugural 300 suffering from the heat, track tearing up on both ends, and tearing up lots of racing equipment. There you see the field rolling down out of turn number 2. Safety folks out there seeing what they can do. Nice to have you with us this afternoon here. 50,000 folks sold this place out about a week ago to see this event. When we rolled in here this morning about 6:30, they were already streaming in to see NASCAR racing in this part of the country. And so far, what have we seen out of this race, Ned?
Well, I don't think anybody expected the track to get in the condition it has. We haven't seen any big holes come into the track, but just the small gravels that have come up in the turns and shot up into the second groove, and you get the right side tires up there and they're gone. I mean, they can't control the race cars.
So what do you do, buddy?
Well, the biggest thing you have to do is run your car as fast as you can without getting in trouble. Right now, you must get back into a groove that you feel like you're not going to get on the outside of the racetrack here. If you ever get out of the groove, just 3 feet, you're in the wall.
I'll tell you, some of the most heroic people here are those folks working on pit road and these fans. They have been here for hours. They wanted so much to have NASCAR Super Speedway racing in this part of the country. Our hats off to them. Take a look at what happened to Nemechek here in Krog just a few moments ago.
Joe Nemechek had just taken the lead. Got his right wheels up into that loose stuff, buddy, and wham, into the wall he goes.
Yeah, and everybody behind him was wondering if he was going to spin. He was very lucky to keep control. As you see him going down the back straightaway there, everybody's trying to figure where to go.
Now here's Krog. This is turn 4.
That looks like a replay of what happened to Nemechek. He got just a little bit out of the groove and right into the outside wall.
Excepting this time, that was off turn 4, where Nemechek was off turn 2. So apparently there's some problems up there, too.
Other end of the speedway. CBS Sports coverage of the 97 Inaugural Gateway 300 continues after this message and a word from your local station. We're back with you at Gateway International Raceway, and you're looking at Dale Earnhardt Jr. about to go in a reserve role. And I believe it's for the 99 car. Remember, that was one that had trouble earlier out here. They finally got it running again. And Glenn Allen is asking for some assistance. It'll be 22-year-old Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Dick Bergeron's just joining him down there. Dick?
Dale, you going to jump into this car?
Yeah, that boy's getting a little sick. He's doing trying to do all he can do, and he's getting a lot of these guys out here, so we're going to jump in here and do what we can.
Okay, they've just come in now. We're going to get out of the way and let this driver change occur. And here comes Glenn Allen out. Earnhardt on the driver's side. We're going to try to get to talk to Glenn Allen. Oh, he is definitely one woozy race car driver. Earnhardt is in good shape. He's jumping right in here. Let's see if we can get to talk a little bit with Glenn Allen, see how he's doing. The crew has just surrounded him. Not a good time to talk. We're going to let him be. They're going to put some cold ice packs on him and let him be. Ken?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. earlier, if you're just joining us, was the victim of a crash. He was almost up and over in the back straightaway. Climbed out and calmly described what happened, just like his dad would do. And now is coming in here to replace a badly dehydrated. You can lose, what, 7 or 8 pounds in one of these things, and Glenn Allen is suffering.
Well, Glenn Allen's had several problems today, and one of them was the car overheating. As I said at the beginning of the race today, when the car's hot, the driver's hot.
Click on CBS Sports Line for on-the-fly updates here. Complete Busch standings, special cover story on Randy LaJoie and Todd Bodine, plus a full race wrap-up. It's all here at cbs.sportsline.com. The Bud One Airship Aerial Ambassador, the King of Beers, proud to provide you these shots at Gateway International Raceway. Sure looks nice up there. Hell on wheels down here for these Busch Grand National drivers. Turns 1 and 2 torn up. Now turns 3 and 4. For the moment, Elton Sawyer with the advantage. Elliott Sadler has fought his way back into second spot. Third spot is Park. Fourth spot is Bobby Labonte. But for me, the big story is the guy that gave us one of the most dramatic races of last year, Ned. And that's Kevin LePage from Shelburne, Vermont, who won that incredible finale to the 1996 season at Homestead, Florida. He put on one of the greatest shows we've ever seen here on CBS. Well, here he is from 39th position back to 5th.
Had to take a provisional to get in this race and has driven a very smart race. Sits up there in 5th position, so certainly don't count him out. You know, back to the Dale Earnhardt Jr. story there for a moment, getting in that 99 car. One of the purposes of being here was to try to get as many laps on the racetrack, get experience. He's good. Well, his car, he was a victim of circumstances there, got crashed. Now he's back in the car, so he's accomplishing part of what he came here to do, and that's to get some laps.
And scoring points for Glenn Allen.
And also, you see the damage right there on the back of that car. That may have the crush panels on the inside of the wheels where hot air is coming up in the car as he goes around the racetrack. Good point.
Let's talk about the rules about switching drivers here. You can do it. If you're a driver that's qualified and you're standing there in a reserve role, you can get yourself out here and go.
Yes, you can. And NASCAR is very considerate when it comes to a situation of this sort. Of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has started his 4th Busch race here today, so he has experience, so he's a logical choice to go in that car.
And the points collected from here on in all will go to the guy who started the race, in this case Glenn Allen Jr.
Exactly. Whoever starts the race gets the points.
Let's go to Ralph Shaheen, who has more.
Ken, let's bring you up to speed a little bit on Steve Park, who is currently running 3rd. Take a look at the front windshield on the number 3 car. As Joe Nemechek had his problems, he kicked a brake rotor off of his 87, and it landed square under the windshield of Steve Park. Where it hit is on a bar known as the Earnhardt bar. Dale Earnhardt developed it for NASCAR racing. It's been approved at all the cars running now. So even from his home back in Kannapolis, North Carolina, Dale Earnhardt looking over and helping his driver Steve Park here today. When it did hit the car, it ripped the dash out and has made things even hotter inside the car for Steve Park. But that Dale Earnhardt bar coming in for his own driver.
Glenn Allen leaving the track now. Told you about the oxygen they had a little earlier. I thought they would want that for the crew chiefs and some of the guys along pit road. We've seen this before in some of the open cockpit racing over the years. Here's Glenn Allen in bad shape, taken out of that car.
Okay, Ken, we're about ready to go back to green flag racing. We see the pace vehicle coming down pit road. Elton Sawyer ready to get it on once again.
138 laps complete, 54 of them under caution, 240 the distance, and here we go.
Look at Steve Park making a move down on the inside, trying to take over 2nd place and trying to take over 1st place.
Got a good run there down the back straightaway. Even Steven down the back straightaway. Elton Sawyer on the outside. You can see right there Steve Park trying to beat him into the corner.
Got it. Got him cold.
Yeah, Elton, once he got in that position, got up in that 2nd groove, he had no choice but to back off the accelerator, get that thing down on the inside once again and get it under control.
Here's Elliott Sadler making a run now for the lead, buddy.
Well, down into turn 1, he should get it, getting back in the corner there. Elliott Sadler takes the lead. Steve Park in 2nd.
And look at Bobby Labonte trucking right on in 3rd spot in that number 44.
Yeah, he's letting these 2 guys race all they want to. He's just sitting there kind of in the catbird seat, running 3rd, not putting his car in any jeopardy. Doing a very good job today.
And in 4th is Kevin LePage from 39th. Kept his nose clean, worked his way through the field. And the car they call Red Rock, that number 88, up to 4th. Looking back from Elliott Sadler. And Steve Park in number 3. 1st and 2nd here at stake.
Right now you can see him close right up on the back bumper there as they go through the corner. They're about 1.5 feet of getting in trouble there. The one thing you must do is keep a good clean line through that corner.
Well, they try to settle him down. Mike Dillon's in 5th, McLaughlin in 6th. They're on those radios to those drivers, just trying to keep them focused, keep them under control. And as you get dehydrated, you usually get angrier and angrier at those radios.
Here comes Park again. He's looking to the inside of Elliott Sadler as they come down the front straightaway. 2 young Turks having at it.
For all of the problems, this is a heck of a race. Steve Park looking for that 2nd win. Goes out in front. Can he hold it? Can he stay there? Got it. Eases it out of 2 where Nemechek got in trouble.
When Nemechek took the lead from Elton Sawyer, he did. He got a little too high there and hit the wall, but Park kept it down. As Buddy said, within about 1 foot of being in trouble, but
Elton Sawyer, who had led briefly, he's fallen back to 8th. Terry Labonte is in 9th. And Kenseth in that 17 finds himself now in 10th position. That's his highest running position. Matt Kenseth having a good day. Dick Berggren has more.
Dick Trickle, who had started 5th today and had run up front much of the day until he caught the wall, is on the way backwards into the garage. The problem, he has lost his brakes. And this is a racetrack where you need all the brake you can get, and many of the crews were very concerned about brakes lasting all day before the race started. Trickle's the first one out with no brakes. Ken?
Kevin LePage has backed up 2 spots. Here comes Dillon. Dillon creeping back up is into 4th. Mike Dillon is on a roll. And as he comes through, he brings none other than Buckshot Jones, the kid that won at Milwaukee a year ago, to 5th. LePage has to settle for 6th for the moment. Look at Steve Park trying to draw away. Gets a half-second advantage here. 144 laps complete of the 247 leaders to date. The latest, Steve Park in the number 3. Draws the bead on the 3rd and 4th turn. Outside the top 10, 11th is Dale Shaw. It's Terry Labonte in 12th. You've got Green running in 13th. Mark Green. Then Joe Bessie, the pole sitter, in 14th. Keller is in 15th. And let's see, Fuller is in 15th. They just swap positions again. And Fedor beginning to roll. He's up to 17th. He was hoping to do a lot better today. He's outside that top 10 and hasn't been a good day for the teammate of LaJoie. And where is LaJoie, the point leader? Well, he's back in 19th spot, working his way along. You're riding with him.
You see him right there, Phil Parsons just behind him. These guys are racing all the way around the racetrack. Everybody's got somebody they're racing with. As you see right now, just bad track position. You can see Phil Parsons here still in 3rd gear now. The racetrack has slowed down to where at one time he was shifting back into high gear down the front straightaway, but now the racing pace is slow enough that he can run in 3rd gear all the way around.
All in the lead lap. Here's Parsons down to the inside. And scooting beneath, Randy LaJoie. Takes 19th position away. Relegates LaJoie to 20th.
You just have to wonder if they really fixed all the problems that Randy LaJoie had. They said that they were skipping just a little bit. Before this, Randy LaJoie was quite a bit faster than Parsons.
But he's staying out here, and just by the staying out of the tail end of this field, it will give him more points. And trying to work Bodine around. We'd love to get him back out here just to do a little running. If it finished right now, there'd be a 67-point difference between 1st and 2nd place in the standings, Ned.
So right now it wouldn't be that bad for Todd Bodine, but you know there's still a long way to go, and Randy LaJoie is still out there running and on the lead lap. So Todd Bodine would probably take that and be happy with it just to lose 10 positions to Randy LaJoie here today.
Well, you can see this is a fight for 2nd right now. Bobby Labonte is not taking any chances, running a very, very conservative race. You see right now, though, that the 72 car right there of Mike Dillon is doing very well. As a matter of fact, he just passed Bobby.
Just having a super run, one of his best runs ever. As we look at those kind of battles, Chris Diamond has coasted into the garage area, smoke coming from his car, apparently out of the race.
Steve Park continues to lead. Elliott Sadler is 2nd. And Mike Dillon is in 3rd with Bobby Labonte 4th. Now we have Buckshot Jones to 5th. Kevin LePage in 6th and McLaughlin in 7th. There you see Steve Park beginning to stretch it a little. Up to 0.8 of a second between 1st and 2nd. But it has been a demon stroke every time you get the lead here. You're almost inevitably going to find the wall. Time after time, we've seen those leaders streak out and get an advantage. And then bingo, it happened to Craven. It's happened to Nemechek. They keep sliding and skittering up toward that wall. Wild racing. Park 1st, Sadler 2nd. And extending his lead, as you can see, over the last 5 laps. Building all the time, Steve Park.
Very smart, heady race driver.
Now you see Dillon moving up and Sadler falling back. Sadler back into the 3rd position. And just sweeping by him goes Dillon.
Mike Dillon does not have anything happen to his car or maybe get offline a little bit. I think he is just as fast as Park, maybe a little quicker.
Bobby Labonte is in 4th. Back goes the 29 in the 3rd. And you're with Elliott Sadler. I tell you, I was so impressed yesterday with this Elliott Sadler. With about 5 minutes left to go in practice, he crashes his primary car, tore the whole nose off it. Young guy, just getting started, and he was so focused in getting that second car ready. He did get a lap and a half on it, but they took off the carburetor, they changed the shocks, and all of the time he didn't wear the fact that he'd worn a car out. He just stayed right with the program. There was no biting the lip, none of that. He went straight for getting the job done and went out and qualified well, and he's running beautifully in this backup car.
Qualified in 12th place.
And most of these cars are their short track cars. They brought short track equipment here to run this 1.25 miles, the new Gateway International Raceway here in the St. Louis area.
Well, certainly those drivers who had come here and tested learned that the turns 1 and 2, as we see Bobby Labonte go by Elliott Sadler, turns 1 and 2 are they're short track type turns, and so they felt that a short track type car would work better on this racetrack.
That was a pass for third.
Oh, we've got trouble in turn 2. Got another one spinning. That looks like Buckshot Jones. Buckshot Jones around and down to the bottom of the track. Your 5th place competitor, 10th yellow, represents the most caution on a super speedway this year. Buckshot Jones brings it out. Happy Guy yesterday announcing a new sponsorship for next year and a run for the national title. Unhappy Guy today in the top 5. Now his hopes for winning this inaugural race lie on the bottom of that treacherous second turn. Buckshot Jones down, crowd up.
Ken, you see this tire here, how much is out on the outside of that body? That means that he's probably hit that right rear and pushed the whole rear end over here. Doesn't look like there's too much damage to the left side of that race car, but I believe when we see the right side that we're going to see a lot of damage because it looks like the rear end is pushed way over to the left side, and that's not good.
154 was the lap mark when Buckshot Jones slapped the wall in turn number 2. Trying to get you some pictures of just how hard he got into that thing. 86 laps to go to decide it. This has been a tough one and a real conundrum all weekend. Buckshot's out. Here's what happened.
Well, there he is. Got his right wheels up in that loose stuff that we've been talking about. Once he got there was nothing in the world he can do. There we see the tail end of it. He spins around. Who's that, Shane Hall down on the inside?
That's 85 there. Shane Hall was very, very lucky not to get swept into that wreck.
9th place, Shane Hall. So we'll take a commercial break. Buckshot Jones brings out the 10th caution of the day. The trials and tribulations continue for the Grand National ranks here at Gateway International.
Wonderful galleries have come out under beautiful skies outside of Hartford for the 3rd round of the Canon Greater Hartford Open. And coming up in our 3rd round coverage, a tribute to Ben Hogan. We'll be talking live with Byron Nelson, Ben Crenshaw, Ken Venturi. That's coming up shortly here on CBS.
Racing in sunny Homestead, Florida. It was the inaugural Jiffy Lube 300. Dale Jarrett benefited from a crash late in the race to win. That was 2 years ago. Last year, Kevin LePage passed Bobby Labonte with 25 to go to win his first Grand National race in a thriller. But Randy LaJoie celebrating the series championship. Join us Sunday, November the 9th for the season finale, the Jiffy Lube 300. Live flag-to-flag coverage from Homestead, Florida on CBS.
Right into the gloves.
Ralph Shaheen.
Ken, the tires coming off the race cars are so hot that it burned right through the gloves of these 2 crew members that are working here for Randy LaJoie. So they automatically stuck their hands right into the ice-cold water to try to cool them off. The tires are just blisteringly hot as they come off these race cars, burning right through their gloves.
What's the temperature on those gloves? They're
on the tires?
Yeah.
Well, probably 220 maybe, when they're just after they've gone on a green flag run and those tires have not had time to cool down.
And those gloves are supposed to be able to help you with that kind of thing, fight that kind of heat, not the kind of heat we're having here today. When we started this race, it was 94 degrees outside, was 110 degrees just sitting in the car. Look at that, it's 120 degrees just sitting here right now as we're under caution in Randy LaJoie's number 74, running in 19th position. And that air in there, that's just ambient air. It just stays at that temperature and cooks a little more as they get these 9-to-1 compression engines rolling along.
Let me tell you, that might be 120 where that particular gauge is, but just below there where the air is not circulating, I guarantee you is on up about 15 more degrees. So where their feet are is probably 130.
And any driver that's ever sat in one of these cars will talk to you about burning your heels and burning them all the way to the bone. But you have to keep your feet in the fire if you're going to be a Grand National or Winston Cup driver. Hey, tomorrow the CBS Sports Show goes to Charlotte Motor Speedway, where Ari Lyondike and Tony Stewart lead the IndyCar pack at the Visionaire 500. Plus, we have the Bud Light Pro Beach Volleyball at Union Station, St. Louis. That's tomorrow, starting 1 o'clock Eastern on the CBS Sports Show. So we've rolled along through 158 of 240 laps. You're riding with Randy LaJoie. He is having a great run today, and I think he's racing for points right now, buddy.
Just now, look at this tracking cam here. That's not part of the CBS crew, I guarantee you. But folks, let me tell you, you saw something, all you young drivers around the country, you saw Randy LaJoie reach up and pull down on his seat belts then to tighten them up real good before he goes back to green. It's a good policy for anybody to do that just before the green comes back out.
Temperature on the track surface right now, 148 degrees, Ned.
And we had a couple of cars that did not pit. The car number 4 of Dale Shaw, the car number 10 of Phil Parsons chose not to pit. Now, they had pitted on lap 137, I believe it was, so they would have had 103 laps to go, so they might figure they can go the rest of the way. Yeah, and they probably can as far as fuel is concerned, because there were a lot of caution flags in caution laps during that period of time, and we're back to green flag racing.
Mile and a quarter track here, Gateway International Raceway, inaugural 300 for the Busch Grand National Series at Steve Park. Down to the inside and going right back into second place.
They're trying to catch up to Dale Shaw right now in the 4-car who's leading. You can see everybody very respectful. They're not coming out quite as wide as they did before.
Let me clarify. I was thinking a mile track when I said 103 laps would be much more than that on this mile and a quarter track. So I don't know. I don't think that they can make it from here. Maybe they're just going to save that last set of tires for later on in the race.
Dale Conway out of Center Conway, New Hampshire, or Dale Shaw out of Center Conway, New Hampshire, pulled this stunt for the second time today, staying out there and getting himself into the lead, gambling on another caution to come soon.
I don't think he has much of a chance. You see Steve Park there closing in. Every time they come by, he closes down some 15 car lengths per lap. That's new tires against the cars that get him stopped.
Yeah, and Phil Parsons back there behind him is going backwards. Everybody going by him. And here's Elliott Sadler in car number 29, Shane Hall in car number 85.
Shane Hall giving a great ride today. He's done an outstanding job. Elliott Sadler sorting himself out and moving up through the field, and Shane Hall staying right with him. Elliott Sadler, Bobby Labonte up here in this hunt as you look from Elliott's car in 4th place back to Shane Hall in 5th.
Elliott lost a little bit of time on that pit stop. Ken dropped back from what he's running in the top 3 back to 7th, but he's getting back now, Betty.
You could see just then Dale Shaw was going to let him take that outside. Parks didn't take that bait, I'll guarantee you.
No, he said, I believe I'll catch him coming off the corner, slipping a little bit, and see if I can't drive on the inside. He might have done it right there, not quite. He almost got a nose up the side of it, and now he's going to look out there.
Ooh,
well, I'm not sure that's smart.
No, he backed off and fell back in. You're going to have to pass somewhere besides the outside of the racetrack.
Here he comes to the inside. Steve Park trying to make that run down to the bottom of the track and take that lead back, running on tippy toes as he heads into turn 3. Is he going to get it? He got it.
Once you get that inside groove, you've got it.
Dick Berggren has more on Dale Shaw.
Ken, a really interesting story. The reason that Shaw did not come in and take tires when so many of the others did is his motor is not running at full saw. It's not that it's off a cylinder, it's just not really right. So they thought what they would do would be take track position now. They're counting on a leather caution flag a little bit later. Fire 4 new tires. They've still got those in their bank. Fire 4 new tires in the car, and maybe romp home with the winner's trophy. We'll see.
I tell you what, when you're not running, the one thing you don't want to have is a bad handling race car.
Well, you see Bobby Labonte sprinting up into second spot. Dale Shaw now deployed in third. And here's Todd Bodine back on the track after 44 minutes of repair work. He was another guy that came up working for the lead. Found the wall instead. Frustrating day for the man second in points. Now being shown in 30th position many laps down. Todd Bodine back on the track in that Stanley car.
So if he can go out there and complete most of the rest of the laps, Ken, he can pick up several positions. Now, those positions back in that area, there's only 3 points difference in the position. In fact, he just picked up 1 position, buddy, as he completed more laps than Lyndon Amick, who is in the garage area. So every lap that he can pick up, or every position he can pick up, that's another 3 points.
And his nemesis, LaJoy, Randy LaJoy, is up to 14th position. We're riding with Randy as he continues to work around cars out here and get himself through this field. But let's check on his crew with Ralph Shaheen.
Well, this is Keith Bainbridge, who changes the rear tires for him, and this is Jimmy Fitzgerald, who changes the front tires. Keith, are you guys okay? How hot were those tires?
Hot that I couldn't keep my hands on them. They killed.
Guys, I want you to see this. This is the glove that he was wearing. Now, this is a carbon fiber glove, and it has burned a hole right through the glove all the way into the skin. And Jimmy, how hot must that have been?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
How hot must that have been to burn a hole in the carbon fiber like that?
It must have been 500 or 600 degrees. I mean, it was so hot you couldn't hang on to it. I mean, the jack fell and your hands are trapped in there. And you're tugging, trying to get it off, and you don't realize how hot it is till you get it off. And, you know, it just kind of blisters your fingers. So it's one of them deals.
Again, gentlemen, these are not your average gardening gloves. These are carbon fiber gloves, and it is burned all the way through to the skin.
When we talked a little bit earlier about maybe 220 degrees, that would be the normal temperature when they would come off of a green flag run. But with hot temperatures today and the heat of the track, they might be, 500 or 600, buddy, that's pretty high. But
yeah, that's more like the exhaust on a jet somewhere, but it's plenty hot if it burned through there.
Look at this battle for the lead. Here comes Bobby Labonte down to the inside, and he's pulling himself into first place. Steve Park goes up to second now as Bobby Labonte finds the lead for the first time today. It's lap 168. Being completed with Bobby Labonte now in front. Steve Park in second. Elliott Sadler to third. Dale Shaw following to fourth. McLaughlin to fifth. Dillon in sixth. Kevin LePage back to seventh. Followed by Elton Sawyer, Shane Hall, and Terry Labonte is 10th.
Pontiac out front now.
Boy, it's been a while since they've had a victory in this thing. Pontiac looking for a good look at this battle for fifth spot. There's McLaughlin in the 34, and Dillon right after him, buddy.
Dillon's getting right back up there once again, Ken. He's been up in the top 5 all day long. Apparently lost a few positions on his pit stop, but now trying to work his way back up there.
Great acceleration down the straightaways. Dillon has been up front all day long. It won't take him long to put these cars away. You see him underneath McLaughlin right there. Didn't have quite enough pull getting into the corner there to get even, but he'll make the move here in a couple of laps.
Dale Shaw in fourth, being challenged by Magic Shoes McLaughlin. Waterloo, New York, number 34. Steady as she goes. Closes him down in 3. They're both flat on the floorboard out of 4. Down this long straightaway. Let's see if McLaughlin's got anything for Shaw.
Well, Shaw's giving him that outside, but that's not where he wants to be.
Sure. Give you the outside.
Yeah.
Give you the outside. Give you a chance to go home early. Dale Shaw doing a good job. And look at 72 ramble up through here. Mike Dillon.
Evidently, McLaughlin had to get off the gas a little bit coming off of turn 2. And Dillon just ran right on up beside him. Had a good run off there. And here he is.
So the ex-motocross racer is a teenager. Mike Dillon is having his best day. He's ready to challenge Shaw for 4th spot. Former Busch Grand National North champion Dale Shaw in his new ride. Jeff Purvis used to have that number 4. Now it's Shaw's ride for the rest of the year, and let's see what he's going to do with it here.
Well, I tell you, Mike Dillon has a great line coming off of 2. It looks like he's going to get too high, and then he goes down.
Cuts him off there going into turn 3. Excuse me, Ned.
He really picks up momentum coming off 2. We'll see what he can do coming off 4 here now. He gets down on the inside. He's got a run on him.
He's got him this time. Shaw can't do anything about it. He takes the spot away on the inside.
Just got it a little too hot, a little too high in turn number 4, and that's costly to Dale Shaw. Here he comes, trying to get right back on Dillon. He'll have no part of it.
Right there's what I was talking about. Dillon goes a little bit high and hits the accelerator and just shoots off of that turn. He's got a great line there.
Here comes McLaughlin in the 34, chasing Dale Shaw on the number 4.
Well, Shaw still giving him an outside, but Mike says that's not the place I want to practice.
For 5th spot.
Yeah, he said I want to do it. There's LaJoy.
That one got rumpled a little too. That's LaJoy in the 74.
There you can see some damage there on the right under the number.
Is he smoking? Is that car smoking off the back?
Looks like there might be some smoke coming from it. We have a report that there is.
Started 14th, currently running in 20th. He's backed up a little again. Ooh, they're putting some laps on Bodine, who has slowed down a bit here.
Well, his car's not up to full song. It's after the crash that he was in. He's just out there trying to make laps now.
He was running a little stronger earlier. I mean, he may just have pulled down, let those guys scoot through.
Here's Phil Parsons riding with him once again.
16th position.
Do you think the motorheads are loving this right now, hearing that thing squall down that front straightaway as he goes down into turn 1?
I imagine. Sweet sound.
Baker's sure liking it, Ned.
Yeah, but listen how gingerly he has to get on the accelerator through the turn, and now he really accelerates strong. Crank her on up there, Phil. And back her down.
Such sweet thunder.
No sweeter sound to we racers.
Bobby Labonte, number 44. 8th different leader today here in this Gateway Inaugural 300. For more on the leaders, here's Dick Berggren.
And Ken, final pit stop strategy is beginning to play out here. On the last pit stop, Bobby Labonte put his last 4 fresh tires on that race car, and he is running away from the field. Meanwhile, Park in 2nd position did not take any tires at all. He does not have any more tires to put on it either. Whatever they've got, they're going to have to go all the way with. But Labonte's are a lot fresher than Park's.
Bobby Labonte leading by 1 9/10 of a second last lap. The 35, Amick, goes back behind the wall. He is out of the event. Amick retiring at lap 176. Average speed, 123. Is that on our last lap? Average speed for the race is 79.2. Last lap at 123. 1.25 mile track.
So the race pace is considerably lower than qualifying, which is not unusual, but it is unusual to be that much lower. They qualified at over 130 miles an hour.
Let's go to Dick Berggren another time.
I need to correct myself, Ken. Park apparently does have 1 more set of fresh tires, so he's got something to throw on the car. Labonte does not. Ralph Shaheen.
Well, let's check in with Steve Bird, who's trying to get more on his driver, Randy LaJoy. Steve, what's the story with Randy right now? You having a problem again?
It's skipping again.
Their frustration starting to build, and I'll remind you once again, Ken, they seem to think it's in the ignition box. And remember, Randy LaJoy has got new track blues, the 29th at Texas, and problems at the last race at Vegas as well. He's going to make his way back down pit road again.
He's just gone a lap down.
He's been back black flag, Ken, so he'll have to come into the pits. And Todd Bodine going back out there making laps. Todd now moved up to 27th position. And Randy LaJoy has dropped down to 20th. So, you know, that point race is not going to be too far out when we leave here today, as it looked like it might be at one time.
The heat high, the frustration builds, the focus harder to center on, to stay with it out here today. And for Randy LaJoy, this is a tough trip.
down pit road.
Coming up, the Cannon Greater Hartford Open 3rd round. That's next today on CBS. You're riding with Randy LaJoie, the defending Grand National champion, currently #1 in the series. On to pit road. Norwalk, Connecticut driver. Steve Bird is crew chief, another New Englander, as he waits on him. I think it's a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit today. And Ralph Shaheen awaits him for us on pit road.
Here he comes, Ken. They're going to go to work on the distributor and see if they can change that. Randy unstrapping the car, trying to get himself a little bit cool. We'll see if we can get a word with him. Randy, what's the problem? How bad is it out there? Do you know what the problem is?
We don't know what the problem is yet, but it seems something to do with the ignition.
His car owner, Bill Bumgarner, handing him some water and handing him a cool towel. Randy going to try to suck on that a little bit while the crew goes to work underneath the engine. And you can only imagine how hot it's got to be under there. We saw what happened on the pit stop, and they burned right through the gloves. As you gentlemen know, engine components aren't exactly any cooler.
He's not had a DNF all year. That one looks cooked. Well done.
You see them working on the ignition right in there. They're getting the wires all undone there so they can change the ignition box as they work on this car, trying to get it back up to song. We have a yellow on the speedway.
Bodine is 41 laps behind him, and there you see the 77 Brad Teague in the wall. Brad Teague clipping the wall in the 77. That's the 11th yellow of the afternoon.
He was running in 19th position. He was still on the lead lap.
Trying to get it righted. Hard to find a nicer guy in racing than Brad Teague. Long-time veteran, going to do some truck racing again. Ran that truck over at Bristol, Tennessee this year. Brad Teague.
Didn't look like he had too much damage to his car.
Well, that comes out at lap 183 as we continue to whittle them down here today, folks. We have 57 laps remaining, 57 to go. 11th caution of the day after Brad Teague gives us this moment. Turn 4.
You see him sideways there, getting around, just barely touching the left side. That's a flat left front, and I would say the right front was damaged just a little as he turned around there. I saw a little smoke off the right front also.
The guy that won at Martinsville in 1987 in Grand National for his only mark in this series, in trouble here today.
Leader Wayne Levy. This is for bogey at the 7th hole. He leads by 2. Coming into the 7th is Trim the 1. Cans that one for only the 2nd bogey of the week. Maggart coming in close now, just one back. 3rd round action coming up next.
Click on CBS Sportsline for on-the-fly updates, complete Busch standings, and a special cover story on Randy LaJoie and Todd Bodine, plus a full race wrap-up. It's all here at cbs.sportsline.com. And the Budweiser blimp. Its eye-in-the-sky camera, proud to provide you with these live shots 1,000 feet above Gateway International Raceway. With Ned Jarrett, Buddy Baker, I'm Ken Squire, topside, and yeoman duty being done by our pit reporters in about the muggiest, hottest conditions we've experienced all year. Dick Berggren and Ralph Shaheen down there, running their toes off to keep you up to date on what is happening on pit road. You see them blowing off that corner again, buddy.
Yeah, they're trying to blow all the gravel and different things that build up on the racetrack. There's a little rubber dust out there, but most of it is shavings off the racetrack. You can see it blowing away there. That jet blower does a nice job.
Here is Randy LaJoie trying to cool off, trying to get himself back together, and beginning to feel the pressure as Bodine has stayed out here and is now making up laps. And the more laps he makes up, the closer he gets. Bodine came into this race today with a 37-point deficit. At one time, it grew to 67 points as Bodine was in the pits after he clipped the wall. Now he's back out here, and guess who's back behind the fence? That's Randy LaJoie, the #1 guy. So first it's one way and then it's another, and it all ends in November at Homestead, Florida, and CBS will be there to give it to you. Now it's down to 55 points between LaJoie and Bodine. Dick Trickle getting tires, and he's what, 32, 33 laps down, but he is back out. Oh my gosh, don't get close to him. With all that tape on the back, you'll stick to him.
This 200-mile-an-hour tape has been badly abused there.
Get close to him, it'll be like a magnet. So Dick Trickle is still out there, still going, 55 years young. Still working on LaJoie's car, trying to remedy the situation and get him back out there. He was black flag. He had just gone a lap down when that consultation cloth came out, told him to get in and see what they could do.
And now he is 7 laps down. As the leaders will come by this time, it'll be 8.
Ralph Shaheen with more on Randy LaJoie.
Well, Ken, they are changing the ignition box and the distributor right now. The folks from K-Tech over here trying to give them a hand, trying to get this engine back in and ready to go racing so they can get Randy LaJoie out on the racetrack. The toughest part is being Randy LaJoie right now. You're hot, you're frustrated, you're tired, and you're just sitting here doing nothing but baking. And this team is supposed to be getting an opportunity to go relax tonight. When they were all done here, Bill Bumgardner, the car owner, was going to fly them all back to Charlotte so they could go watch the IRL race that CBS is going to show tomorrow.
Weather. Yeah, that's from the oil refinery just up here along the Mississippi River. Doesn't make it look any cooler, does it? 99 degrees, hazy and hot. 151-degree track temperature. And if you're sitting in one of these race cars, 120 degrees. Try to keep your attention in those conditions.
CBS Sports coverage of the Busch Grand National Series is sponsored by Texaco Clean System 3 gasolines. New Tagamet HB 200 for heartburn, block acid fast with new Tagamet HB 200. And by Old Spice High Endurance Deodorant for long-lasting odor protection. Now you've got proof, not promises.
After 186 of 240 laps, welcome back to the inaugural Gateway 300. Chris Pook, the man who put together the Long Beach Grand Prix, comes here to the Midwest, to the Gateway to the West, St. Louis. And it has been the gateway to an inferno to this afternoon. Hot, difficult racetrack. Not only have you got to fight the competitors, but you have to fight this track no matter what lane you take. You're at risk at this point. It's added a whole lot of new drama. Coming up later this afternoon, the Cannon Greater Hartford Open. Let me tell you how we got to where we are. We had 2 main drivers up on the front row when the whole thing got underway. Joe Bessie had his first pole, and the veteran Ricky Craven alongside. But whoever took that first place was handed a hand grenade time after time. Joe Nemechek, Craven, and many others got up into first place and slam, wham, into the wall. Now we have Bobby Labonte leading with Park in second. This race is a lot, guys, like 1995 at Daytona when they had 21 cars out. Had that big wreck in the midst of it. This one's really taking its toll. Dick Berggren.
Well, Brian Frazier is the crew chief for Bobby Labonte. He and I are standing on top of his toolbox, sweating away the afternoon. Car looks awful good, Brian. You going to be able to take that thing all the way to victory lane?
We're sure going to give it a try. The Shell Pontiac's run pretty good all day. We've been tight and adjusted on a little bit all day. In this last stop, I believe we got a good set of Goodyear Eagles on here and got the car dialed in pretty good. So sure would like to see that blower make maybe one more lap out there for us. But we're going to give it our shot and go from here and see what we can do.
Have you made your last pit stop?
Yes, we've made our last pit stop, put all our tires on. We're good to go on gas. So it's up to Bobby right here from here on out.
Well, this is the same car that won Dover, same engine that won Dover, same car and engine that also led so many laps at Charlotte. It's a good one. Let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
Well, for Steve Parks, Dick, in the number 3 car, he's in good shape too. He has got tires on the car. He is full of fuel, and Tony Uri is not planning on bringing him back in. If they need to, however, they have 6 tires left that they can put on that car if they have to have them.
51 laps to go, and they come by this time. Bobby Labonte in front, seeking his 9th Busch Grand National victory. And there, right with him, Steve Park, the young driver from Long Island, whose dad is probably racing tonight out there in the island in modifieds. Great racing family.
Well, the lights off the top of the pace car, so I believe we'll be going back to green the next time by.
Elliott Sadler third. So impressed with Mike Dillon, the son-in-law of Richard Childress, the man who owns Dale Earnhardt's number 3, having an outstanding day. Got McLaughlin in 5th, Elton Sawyer in 6th. He led briefly. Kevin LePage from the furthest back of anyone in the field from 39. The Green Mountain Boy up in 7th. Then Fidoa is in 8th. He's come from 22nd. Joe Bessie, the pole sitter, is now 9th. And LaJoie on pit road and coming out. Mark Green in the 37. Going to find him in 10th as we get ready to go, followed by Jeff Fuller and Shane Hall in 12th. Dale Shaw's following the 14th. Oh, he's stopping as he comes down at his pit. 18 cars on that lead lap.
And LaJoie is being shown 10 laps down now. LaJoie goes back out. He's trying to make laps and stay ahead of Todd Bodine, who is now being shown in 27th position. So 5 positions difference. That's only 15 points.
Tail end of that lead lap is Dennis Setzer. That's the sister car to LePage's as we get ready to go green. Coming down for 190. Well, Bobby Labonte settles right in. So smooth. The Joe Gibbs driver in Winston Cup racing eases on down. Everybody's talking about Steve Park and his future, however. Right there in second spot. He has ducked the bullet. Missed the marbles time after time out here this afternoon to stay in second place. Led twice. Let's see what Elliott Sadler is going to do. Everybody willing to have a holding hand right now. Up to the outside, Dillon. He sneaked a peek on that outside line and then stuffed it right back down to the bottom. Don't want to get fancy here.
I think, Ken, what he's doing, look here, we have some racing back in the pack here. That's Jason Keller in the 57. 45 there is Jeff Fuller on the outside, and just in front of him, Shane Hall.
And they're racing for the 12th and 13th positions. They're still on the lead lap as we get back up to the front of the pack.
Shane Hall in that 11th spot.
Boy, look at Mike Dillon make a run coming off that turn, but he couldn't make a pass.
Mike Dillon in the 4th position. Closes in on number 29, the black car of Elliott Sadler.
Part of the decal, the front decal on Elliott Sadler's car looks like it's about to come off. That shouldn't bother him running out there.
And let me correct that, Ned. That's the 3rd place car of Elliott Sadler.
You're riding with him now. He takes a look at Parks there running in second. He's trying to get the preferred line. You see Parks right there. He'll have to back off and let him go.
How many positions will Park lose? He only lost 1. Good job. He got back in line very quickly in front of Mike Dillon.
The aggressive one, however, is that 72. That 4th place car, Mike Dillon, sawing away on that car. Terry Labonte coming in at number 5.
He was one of those 18 on the lead lap. And coming into the pits.
Fallen all the way to the end of that lap. That leaves us 17 cars in the lead lap. With Hermie Sadler 1 lap down. Terry Labonte coming in.
As we ride with Elliott Sadler, we're going down into turn 3, Ned. It looks like right here he gets a good run down in the corner. Bobby Labonte picks up the throttle as he heads for the front straightaway. You can see that little right there. He's got a little look like a decal, like you say. He's fluttering around, or he might have something stuck on the hood pin up there on the front of the car.
I believe it's part of his hood decal of the sponsor that's about to come off there.
When I talked to Elliott yesterday, I said, what's your backup car? He says, it's just another car. That other car was a car they'd really worked on, and Elliott had come here and practiced on this track earlier. He and Shane Hall, Phil Parsons did the Goodyear tire test here. Elliott has some experience on this 1.25 miles, and he's using it, and you can see part of that decal tearing up on it.
Yeah, no, I think what you're seeing there's a sandwich wrapper. It's hooked right in the front right there. That's the hood pin there.
Yep, you're right, buddy. That's exactly what it is.
See, everybody's taking a lot wider arc in the turn 1 and 2 now. They've moved the racetrack up just a little bit. The groove is a little bit wider now. Not nearly as dangerous. 3 wide down the back straightaway.
Somebody better back
4
off.
wide.
Wait a minute, guys. You can't do that. You can't even run 2 wide on this racetrack. David Green told his brother Mark, said back out at Mark driving number 37, and he did.
Keller gave it quite a ride in the 57. Phil Parsons right in there in the 14th spot. Wild racing on the back straightaway. Now in the main stretch. Longer of the two, 15 miles an hour quicker, they tell us.
Riding with Phil Parsons there. Now, he made a pit stop on this last caution, probably put on his last set of tires.
Jeff Fuller showing a lot of strength there on the outside on Jason Keller going through 1 and 2. Made it too wide. Shane Hall's coming in on the inside. Does Jason see it?
My.
That wasn't going to work.
13th to 10th for that 45. Fuller. Now Keller takes his spot away. Here comes Shane Hall. Here comes Parsons taking advantage.
Boy, when you get up there on that outside and have to back off for a moment, they just jump on you like a bunch of hound dogs.
Then he got a false reading in 1 and 2 and was able to run the wide side. When he got up to 3 and 4, he paid for it.
I'm impressed with Dale Shaw staying right here in the midst of this. Relatively new to the Busch Grand National Series out of the Busch Grand National North. And he has stayed in the lead lap, and he's just outside that top 10 and 14th. Number 4, Dale Shaw right behind Phil Parsons. Dick Berggren has Terry Labonte in hand.
Engine is silent, car is parked. Terry's here. What happened?
Well, I got just a little bit high coming up the corner, and I got in the loose stuff where the track's coming apart, and I hit the wall and messed up the toe end. So I just figured it was better to park it than ride around. There wasn't a point staying out there.
How difficult is the racetrack to drive right now?
What racetrack? You know what they call it?
Terry Labonte heads back into his hauler, and I guess he said exactly the way he feels, Ken.
Racer's racer. I'll tell you, there's another guy yesterday, one of the biggest stars in American racing today. At least 2 hours yesterday signing autographs for free for St. Louis fans, Illinois fans that appreciate this sport. And they appreciate it because of men like Terry Labonte. Well, we've got Bobby Labonte in front. Elliott Sadler, he's had his hands full. He's in second spot. Dillon in the 72 has passed Steve Park. He's taken over in third.
Whoa, you can see Bobby Labonte's car just a little bit loose getting in the corner there.
Buckshot Jones is back on the track. He's in 45th position. There's the interval. Gives you a look at those front two, Labonte and Sadler, then Dillon, Park, and Sawyer. Bobby Labonte, steady and on course. Here comes Elliott Sadler coming after him. Now looking a little further back. Dillon, he's the one who's mustered some extra energy in that number 72.
He's had a lot all day long. That car has really been good, stable, and he has driven it very well.
You know, we have a new player in here also. Mike McLaughlin moved in here, and Kevin LePage to add to this front group here.
There they are on the right of your screen, the yellow car and the black car. The 34 is McLaughlin, and the 88 car is LePage.
Winner at Homestead last year, LePage and McLaughlin. Boy, his season has just turned around. Same car that won the New Hampshire International Speedway race in Maine. 3 wins a year ago, and this year he just gets stronger all the time. Currently in 6th spot in overall standings. Going to watch him a lot in these last 10 races of the season. Elliott Sadler, for 22 years of age. Such poise, we've got trouble. We've got trouble. That looks like Phil Parsons. Yes, it is Phil.
Yeah,
and that's a hard one.
It is hard. He has a lot of damage. You can see on the front of the car. As Phil, of course, he's okay. He's trying to get going again. He don't know how much damage he has. Oh my goodness, he's third in the points. You can see all that damage on the right front.
12th caution. Trying to find anything.
There's sometimes you wish they could see what we can see up here. That car is not going anywhere.
Johnny Chapman's involved in this one. Phil Parsons, number 10. Third in the point standings. Big trouble.
You can see the roof flaps, Ken. He spun all the way around, and they came up and did their job, but There's too much other damage done to his Chevrolet right now.
Parsons had been running up there in that lead lap, and here's another victim. Chapman, Gateway track. He's running the tail end of this lap in 16th spot. 16 remain in the lead lap. 203 of the 240 laps complete. And just when you think they're getting back into a pattern, just when you think they're getting back into a rhythm, the snake bites them again. This 1.25 mile black snake called Gateway International Raceway.
Ned, you could see Phil trying to make the car turn. The steering's broke on the car. He's going to get out. They're going to have to hook to it and bring it in.
Yep, his day might be done. They have a lot of work to do to that car before you can get it back out there, and he would just be one of those riding around. Had a good chance today to pick up points. The first two in front of him, LaJoie and Bodine, have had problems, and I'm sure Phil was thinking about that and said, boy, I have an opportunity here to pick up some points, but unfortunately he's going to be a victim here too.
Chapman onto pit road.
He's from Kidnot, North Carolina, just down the road from Harry Gant.
Tell you what, he's giving Omar a pretty hard ride there. The bull right there on the rear quarter panel has won quite a few. That's a big old bull, but I'll tell you what, that wall will humble him even.
Ah, there he is. That's Omar. Not tough enough for this place.
Well, let's see if we can see what happened. There's the blue car, Phil Parsons, getting up high and wham, into the wall hard. Chapman behind him. He slides up into the wall as well.
From Phil Parsons. Hold on.
He's a little high right there. You can see it get out of control. Oh, man. Yeah.
Turn 2.
I'm glad I'm not a race driver.
Been there, done that. It hurts.
You get time to zig, but in turn 2, not to zag. CBS Sports coverage of the 97 Inaugural Gateway 300 continues after this word from your local station. And welcome to Gateway International Raceway, where the hits just keep on coming. Let's take a listen and a look at the last ones. End of the day for Phil Parsons and the Channel Lock team. For Johnny Chapman, still working on the 89 and trying to get him back in here. Golf coming up next from Hartford, Connecticut. The Cannon Greater Hartford Open here on CBS. 206 of 240 complete. He'll go some to beat the record for cautions on this one. This is beginning to remind me of that first race at New Hampshire International Speedway. I think they had 13 cautions. That went on forever, and that's the one where finally Bobby Labonte went upside down. All right, heat has been one of the stories here in St. Louis, but there is probably one thing that is hotter, and that's Steve Parks, number 3, first season on the Busch Grand National Circuit. Dick Berggren has more on this rookie sensation.
Steve Park came from a racing family where his father Bob, his mother Dottie, and Steve shared many victory lanes. Steve's eye was always on the big league, even though he was racing in the minors. He honed his skills in cars like these, powerful modifieds, winning 16 times on the tour, including this one in New Hampshire in 1996. That win was the most important in Park's career. The next day, he drove a truck, qualified second, finished fourth, and people stood up and got in line to sign him to the big league. The guy who got there first was Dale Earnhardt, who put him in his Grand National car.
He's got a great feel for a race car, and when he's in it, you can see it. I think he's going to be a great one. He just keeps his nose clean and goes in the right direction. We're going to try to give him everything it takes to take him there, and if we can, I think he'll be a great one.
To have Dale to fall back on for any kind of questions as a driver has just been a big bonus to us and the team this year. And when I first came down, I was kind of intimidated almost every time he walked into the shop, and he's kind of taken me under his wing and has given me some great opportunities with the Stacey Delco team and has taught me a lot especially about the draft, that I can't really talk about because they're like Dale Earnhardt top secrets.
In just 13 starts in the division, in an impossible dream, Steve Park came home a winner at Nashville.
It's been a pleasant surprise, and now the only thing is now we got to run just as good the second half of the year. And they say the first win's the hardest one to get, but I think all of them after the first one's going to be just as hard.
He's the nice guy who's making it, the one everybody likes. But when he gets ready to race,
my whole demeanor seems to change as soon as I put that helmet on, and a lot of the guys that know me that are on the crew, they say that I have these little horns that pop out as soon as the helmet goes on, and it's time to go to work and get down to business, and that's the way I am. I love what I do.
Coming to green, 208 laps complete after a look at Steve Park. And as they come to green, look at Labonte in the 44. It's happened again. The leader is snake bit. Bobby Labonte stuffs one in the wall. And I think there's another or two in front of him that have also been collected. How about Steve Park?
He had just come into the pits, made his last pit stop, and yes, there is damage to that Chevrolet.
Steve Park with damage on the number 3, Bobby Labonte. Hey, who's going to win this thing? This is going to, they race back to the line, and Elliott Sadler leads the way with Dillon second, Sawyer third, and LePage up to fourth. If you were figuring the odds on this one, you'd be tearing out your hair and tearing up your sheets into little pieces. Here is Bobby Labonte on the pit road. It's a nightmare going on here on the 1.25 mile oval.
You know, you could see Bobby really trying to slow that car down before it got to the wall, but once it got in those loose particles on top of the racetrack, he couldn't do a thing but go up and hit the wall.
One wiggle, one wobble, and that was it. Over for the 44, and here comes Steve Park as well. It is like running on ice out there, and remember, there's no tread on the tires.
Ned, I can't figure it out. Looked like Park had gotten out of trouble and took the lead and was going off turn 2, and all of a sudden there he was in trouble.
Well, he had made a pit stop and was coming, trying to dodge all the people that was trying to dodge Bobby Labonte. They were all over the racetrack, and the time that we saw him there, he had made a hard left, but it looked like he had gotten by it, and then all of a sudden he's into the wall. Ralph Shaheen?
Natty sitting inside the race car, shaking his head, calling for some water. Tony Uri Jr., I should say, going to work on the right front. He had just come down to make a pit stop. As you said, they put 4 fresh tires on the car, been getting a little bit loose, so they decided to take advantage of the opportunity, change the tires, get him going perfectly, and then this happens. No word yet from the crew as to what's wrong or what they're going to have to do. So far, it seems like it's mostly all body damage. Apparently the spotter was yelling at him to look out for the 44, and as you guys said, he just ran out of racing room.
He looked out for him, found him in the wall, and found himself there.
Well, we'll take a look at what happened to Bobby Labonte here. He's leading the race.
As you say, he goes down in the corner. You see he gets out of there's Park going down in the corner there. It looks like he's out of trouble. Bobby Labonte bouncing off the wall there.
You wonder if he might have had a tire, right front tire that was down, and he didn't know it until he went into that turn and into the wall he went. Now we'll see Steve Park come into the picture. There's Bobby Labonte up on the racetrack, and there's Steve Park coming in there hard, right around him and hard into the outside wall.
Labonte had led 41 laps. Park led 21. This is no longer a question of who's going to win. This is a question of who's going to finish. Last man standing may take this one. Steve Park's number 3, battered and bruised. Meanwhile, golf is underway in Hartford, Connecticut, and for a report on that, let's go to Jim Nantz.
Well, Connecticut, just south of Hartford. Wayne Levy, who won this tournament in 1990, has led from the start. He opened with 64 Thursday, backed it up with 65 Friday for a 36-hole tournament record. But today he's only even par, and Tom Byram is making the best move. There's Wayne Levy. He's won 12 times in his career. Hails from upstate New York and has had great success in New England. but only one birdie today. That came at the first hole. His lead is down to 1, and Jeff Maggart is in second with Tom Byram. Maggart trying to collect some valuable Ryder Cup points. He's 12th on the list coming in to the week, and look at this shot. Now at 13 live. That was Maggart a moment ago, so Maggart just has that tap in to tie the lead. This is Steve Pate. That was a birdie try. Actually, that was for eagle, and boy, that could have vaulted him into a 4th place tie with Randall Chambly. But a birdie nonetheless for Steve Pate. Climbs to -8, only 3 off the lead. So Levy by 1 over Tom Byram and this man Jeff Maggart, who can tie the lead right here. That makes Maggart 4 under for the day. And here's how they stand at this point in the 3rd round. Maggart and Levy at 11 under, with Byram only 1 back. 3rd round action coming up. Back to Ken Squire.
And welcome back to Gateway International Raceway. Here we are with 212 laps completed, the 240 to be run. Elliott Sadler has inherited the lead. Mike Dillon now finds himself in 2nd place as we get ready to decide this one. We're down to what, 27 laps to go this time by.
Another look. There's Bobby Labonte, just shoots right straight up to the wall, and then we'll see Steve Park come into the picture.
Yeah, you can see Steve Park right here. He's coming through on the outside, gets a little high, and gets in the wall just after Bobby Labonte hit.
It's hammer time here at this brand new 1.25-mile facility. Dick Berggren.
And it's been a slam bang afternoon, including for the leaders. Bobby, what happened to you?
Well, I got loose going into 1. I don't know if I had a flat tire. The right rear tire felt a little weird under that yellow, but there's so much gravel on the racetrack that you can't really tell anything anyway. So I went down in there, and I knew when I got there I was going to be a little too loose, and tried to recover, and just slid up in the wall and ended our day for the Shell Pontiac. But probably wish I'd have parked it earlier today.
What advice do you have for the guys who are still out there?
I ain't got none, really. I'm stupid for not parking it earlier.
Bobby Labonte, obviously unhappy, crashed out of the lead as so many others have done today, Ken.
Frustration level and this temperature and all is high. Certainly got a taste of it there from Bobby. Pace car's in. We're ready to go. Can we get to the finish from lap 214 with Elliott Sadler in front, Mike Dillon in 2nd, Elton Sawyer 3rd, Kevin LePage back to 4th, Magic Shoes McLaughlin in 5th, followed by Keller, Fedewa, Hall.
Oh, we got another one in the wall. You can see the 72 there of Mike Dillon getting hard into the outside wall.
He picked it up.
And evidently, Elliott Sadler went high, and Dillon was trying to dodge him. Maybe that's what happened to him, because somebody else is taking the lead here, haven't they?
No caution. There is no caution. They're going for it.
No, there's no. Elliott Sadler's still out there. I'm sorry. Got all mixed up in colors here.
And LePage gets himself from a provisional start into 2nd place. And there's another one in the wall. That is the 72, and make no mistake about it, Mike Dillon is going to bring out a flag. He has thrashed that one.
Oh, that's too bad. Had such a great run going here today.
Oh, there is nothing left to the 2nd corner. There's nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to run with. You just try anything, and it's sayonara.
When you get into that outside wall, he was trying to come back around, hoping there might be a caution out. Getting back to the pits again, you could see that he had a problem and got right to the outside wall.
So Sadler is first, and from all the way a provisional starting spot, the guy who pulled the upset of 1996. Kevin LePage is into 2nd and challenging for the lead. Oh, look at this for Mike Dillon.
Best run of his career.
Absolutely the best run.
Going up in smoke here.
You'd think there was a King Cobra parked over there.
Certainly a magnet.
12. Count them. 12 of the 14 cautions. All here in turn 2. Well, they talk about this business of where you want to be the quickest is on the slowest turn, and that was turn 1. And it is a problem. Let's look again.
We see he's on the outside. Dale Shaw in the 4-car right behind him. Shaw dips down on the inside, but he gets loose. Dillon does in the 72 car, and right up into the wall he goes. Watch it from another angle. Same old story. Get that right, those right wheels up in that loose stuff. And Sadler did bump the wall. I thought he did when he came off. That was before, but on the lap before.
What he did was a great job of driving. He got sideways coming off that corner. If he had any contact at all, it was very, very minor. But you can see he's still in good shape there. Car is not hurt. Elliott Sadler leads.
Elliott Sadler, LePage, Sawyer, McLaughlin. And while we have another caution here, let's check in with golf again. Go to Jim Nantz over at Hartford.
It's a wonderful story brewing here. That's Tom Byram, who's 4 under today, and a Hogan disciple. Played his clubs and was given an invitation to come see him in practice at Shady Oaks anytime he wanted. I don't think it's any accident that he's 4 under today and just 1 off the lead. This is at the 14th hole. Byram fighting for a birdie. That would have given him a share of the lead. He'll put a coin on it, but he's made a significant move today. Here's Wayne Levy, one of the co-leaders. Jeff Maggart is from 70 yards on the par 5 13th. Seems so easy the first 2 days, but after opening with birdie at the first today, he hasn't enjoyed another one since. But he's got a good opportunity at 13. Back at 14, Byram for par. So he's working on a round of 66 should he par in. Pretty lethal stretch to close here. 17 and 18. 2 of the most difficult holes at River Highland. So here's how they stand. Maggart and Levy, then Byram 1 back. Rookie Doug Barron playing with Byram. He's 2 behind with Brandel Chambly. Then Stuart Sink, Steve Pate at 8, Mike Brisky at 7, Lenny Clements -7 for the tournament, and 4 under today. Paul Claxton is 3 under. Eduardo Herrera shot a round of 63, only 1 off the course record. Billy Andrade, the course record holder from 2 years back with 62. He's at -5. We'll be having 3rd round action plus tribute to the legend Ben Hogan, who passed away yesterday. We'll be joined live by Byron Nelson, Ben Crenshaw, and Ken Venturi coming up shortly from Hartford. Now back to Ken Squire.
Remember the Darlington stripe? Well, how about the Gateway swipe? The whole right side of your rig gone every time we get started out here today in this inaugural Gateway 300. A 1.25 mile torture test for these Grand National rigs. They're down to 22 laps to go, and they come back to the line. And we have Elliott Sadler looking to win his 3rd race. He's just a baby, 22 years of age. Kevin LePage has come from 39th position to challenge in 2nd. Then you've got Elton Sawyer 3rd. He's only had 1 win in his career. Mike McLaughlin, already a 3-time winner this year. Then you got Jason Keller. Tim Fidois is back. That's LaJoie's compatriot, his teammate. He's up to 6th position. Good racer, too. Saw him win at Nazareth a couple of years ago. Shane Hall is in 7th, then Fuller, then Dale Shaw, and then you have Mark Green in 10th. Bessie is in 11th, the guy that sat on the pole. Dennis Setzer is still in the lead lap. We've got 12 left in the lead lap, buddy.
Well, I tell you what, these guys have really done a great job to be on the lead lap right now. If you're even on the lead lap, that means you have really been careful and not got yourself in a spot to wreck.
We'll take a quick commercial break and get ready to see if we can't get this one wrapped up today out here in St. Louis. Lights off on the pace car. We're getting ready to go racing once again. Can Sadler stay in front? Can LePage take it away after he had to take a provisional to get in here? His wife is his spotter up on the roof. She used to be his crew chief when he raced up in the Northeast. And she's on needles and pins. Anybody that's left in here, because it's such a gambler's race at this point. Just when you think you've got it right, track takes it away.
And normally, Ken, we'd be saying, well, if you got anything left, you got to let it all hang out now. But I don't know. With 20 laps to go, you got to be careful just to be around at the end of the race. But, you know, if they do have anything left, they got to try to use it the best they can.
Look at that wall back there. It looks like a Dalmatian. Never. Look at all the spots here. That's mistakes.
And they just keep on coming.
Oh. Just keep going around the racetrack and the spots are still there. Wow. That's a big Dalmatian, buddy.
Well, you can see when they get out of shape. Look at the tire marks going towards the wall there. You can tell how much loose stuff is up there.
The black and white Dachshund. Pretty long.
Never mind.
That looked like big trouble. That one. You can see the tire mark on that one.
Well, one thing for sure is we get ready to get the green flag again here. That's a lot of money that's been banged up against those walls.
Tens of thousands of dollars, into the hundreds easily. All lost 12 of 14 cautions. All the same corner, all that second turn. It just came to pieces. Green is out. Elliott Sadler leads. LePage coming after him. It's an eggshell walk here in these final laps. 20 to go. And no matter how careful you are, if you make even the slightest mistake, even the slightest correction off two, your history. Look at Dale Shaw, sprint to the inside, going under Shane Hall.
Shane Hall in a bad spot there. You see him really get on the brakes to get back to the bottom of the racetrack. Just for a moment there, he knew he was not to stay there.
Rambling up the inside, and look at this number 4, Dale Shaw, out of Center Conway, New Hampshire. Big ski country up there.
You can see Jeff Fuller pull over there to block the line. He did not want to get on the outside of the track. He blocked him a little bit coming down. Here comes Shaw, though.
Back to the inside for another one. Fidowa just in front of him.
He has himself a great run going here. He's going to get the position this time. He has the preferred line down on the inside. And here come Mark Green in car number 37, the green and blue car. He's trying to make that pass too. He has the inside. Can he maintain it till we get to turn 1? No.
45 comes back once again. Fuller ready to give it a charge, but it is this guy, Shaw, in the number 4, who just took over that ride. A couple of races back. Meanwhile, up in front, Sadler in the lead, and number 88, LePage in second.
Boy, what a mean-looking front end on the 88 there. I guarantee you Kevin LePage can smell it now. He's won one time, he wants to win again, and that car looks very, very stable.
He gave us a great race at Homestead, Florida last year here on CBS, and looking forward to that event again in November of this year. But it'll be a totally different configuration from what we saw when LePage won there in that last Grand National race in '96.
And have some new owners. Penske Corporation and the International Speedway Corporation this week announced that they bought 40% each of that motorsports complex in Homestead.
Look at Shaw coming up under McLaughlin. Dale Shaw for 5th spot. Started to say that's great ski country. It's also where all those champion sled dog teams come from. Boy, this is one that looks like he's got about a 14-dog sled going as he comes down the main straightaway. Buddy, you ever go to Center Conway in summertime, you'll see them pulling Jeep frames down the main chute. They get those dogs ready for the winter. There's a hot dog out there from way up in the northern part of New Hampshire, having a great run here.
Well, here comes Dale Shaw trying to make a move, as you can see, as they started off the corner there. Look at Elton Sawyer whipping back and forth down the straightaway. He's trying to figure whether he has a flat tire or not. He felt something he didn't like.
Back into the main straightaway. It's Sadler first, LePage second, Keller is third, Sawyer fourth. Dale Shaw comes to 5th with McLaughlin 6th, Fidowa 7th. Can Elliott Sadler stay the course? Look at Dale Shaw going for another one.
Boy, he's looking on the inside, Ned.
You know, we questioned way back in the race him staying out there on the tires that he had on when everybody else made pit stops. Then he saved those tires till near the end. He has fresher tires than everybody else. That's working for him.
former Busch Grand National North champion, looks to the inside of Elton Sawyer as they continue to work it out for 4th spot. Dale Shaw got this right. He impressed the owners. Look at Sawyer moving in and taking a run on that number 57 of Jason Keller.
That's what I was just fixing to say. Jason Keller right now, if Dale Shaw gets by Elton Sawyer, which he's working on right now down the back straightaway as they head towards turn 3, I think he'll get by the 57 there. He really looked much quicker. Oh, trouble.
Ooh. Here he comes again, trying the inside. The number 4 closes in. Going to give it another shot.
Ned, they call it give and take. I'll guarantee you right there. Dale Shaw, give him a break. Elton Sawyer was in trouble there just for a second.
Yeah, they both
got it
could have been in trouble. He's got another run going this time. He might get a little farther up alongside. Let's see, can he do it going into the turn? Sawyer knows he's there this time, backs off and lets him go. Smart move.
See if he can counter off 4.
I think the fresher tires that Dale Shaw has on is a distinct advantage right now.
5th spot. 5th spot now goes to Dale Shaw. He got this right, and one of the things that impressed the owner after his first ride in the car, he said, "What do I owe you?" He said, "Well, I'll tell you what, after I finish the race, you tell me if I did a good job, and then you give me what you think it's worth."
I bet the conversation is a little better now. So Dale Shaw proving to everybody he's a tremendous driver. Had a great run at South Boston. Here today, he's moved himself all the way up to 4th spot.
Sadler stays 1st. LePage stays 2nd. Keller stays 3rd. We now are getting down to 12 to go. Now Shaw has lost some time in his effort to collect the 57 of Jason Keller.
Well, he's moving in a little closer now as Keller has to go on the outside of Steve Park, and he has to tiptoe through that position, but he was able to do it.
Steve Park in the number 3 is now in 16th position and laps down, showing him 10 laps back, but he is on the track. LaJoy, he's 10 laps down in 17th position.
You know, as you watch Elliott Sadler, you think this guy has a tremendous amount of experience. This is only his 34th start in the Busch Grand National. What a great drive he's putting on today.
Talented young man. Appears to have a very bright future in this sport.
A lot of great new faces, sensational talents in this series. And one of them is Kevin LePage, coming from 39th position. Can he duplicate, can he replicate what Chad Littledon did in '95? Remember when Chad at Daytona in the 300 came from 42nd position to win? Well, today from a provisional starting spot, we have Kevin LePage up to 2nd in the number 88, chasing this man, number 29, Elliott Sadler.
LePage is closing in.
He saved it. If there's anything left, he'll give it now.
Sadler had moved out to a much better lead than he has right now.
Oh, look at the 88 come. He is closing, and in fact, he is closed up. He's taken three car lengths back.
Elliott Sadler trying not to make a mistake. Kevin LePage giving it everything he can. He has a, you know, you can really, when you're running in 2nd spot, you can see where he's backing off. Drive one more car length and say, I can make this corner and close in pretty quick from 2nd.
Jeff Bodine is running in 25th position. He is 24 laps down. Another driver victimized by this track, which keeps everybody on their tiptoes, particularly here as you see those black marks in that 2nd corner. Time after time, it has reached out and grabbed a leading contender.
Boy, Kevin LePage got a bad break there on the lap car going into turn 1. You see he dropped back about 6 or 7 car lengths there. It's up to him to really get going now, because I guarantee you Elliott is doing such a great job in the 29 car there. It looks like, man, the worst thing is lap traffic right now, but they have clear track in front of them.
First turn, the slowest corner. That's the one you want to get through the quickest. Ooh. That 88 went up the track considerably there. Seven to go. And that cost Kevin LePage.
Yeah, it sure did. It cost him another 5 or 6 car lengths.
He had him reeled in for a moment.
Ned, you know yourself, on these types of racetracks, you can run only so fast. If you overgo, you'll get out of the groove, and all of a sudden you're up against the wall. So Kevin really needs to protect that run right now.
He's got time to make it up. The leaders in this race who have crashed, well, there's one of them. Actually, he never got into first place. He just crashed. He's the leader in the point standings, and he's still having trouble.
He's had ignition problems all day long.
Well, Kevin LePage is off on the back straightaway there. He's dropping back. I don't know what's happened to the car, but he was running second and now dropping back.
Way back.
He's headed to the pits.
Yeah, he's coming in. Craven, Nemechek, Mike Dillon, Steve Park, Bobby Labonte, all have led this race. All have wrecked. And this guy, Elliott Sadler, stays in front. And there you see the 88. So now Keller goes to second and Dale Shaw goes to third.
Apparently something happened to the engine or the drivetrain in the number 88 car.
Try to find out what happened to Vermont's Kevin LePage. Here's Dale Shaw up to third spot and trying to close on Jason Keller. And there you see the interval between second and third. Elliott Sadler, the 22-year-old, out in front. Here's Ralph Shaheen.
Oh, boy, does it get exciting, Ken. Apparently, Kevin LePage is out of gas. And the problem for Elliott Sadler, he's got a vibration in the right front. So he's just trying to nurse himself home as well.
Holding on out here. Just waiting these laps out. 4 to go. You're riding with the leader. Elliott Sadler, 22 years old, from Emporia, Virginia. Trying to keep this one together. Jason Keller lies in second. Jason hasn't won since Indianapolis Raceway Park in '95.
And he's losing his sponsor, looking for a sponsor for next year. Having a great run here today, maybe that could add a little bit to his stock.
And a relative unknown runs in that third spot, Dale Shaw. Out of the Northeast, closing on the 57 Keller as time runs out. And the fuel, they say, ran out on Kevin LePage with 4 to go.
Wow.
Diamond Ridge Racing, Elliott Sadler's team, with 2 wins this year, Nazareth and last week at Myrtle Beach.
We're riding with the leader right now, Elliott Sadler. His hand very still down the straightaway. He's threading the needle right now. As you see him go in the corner there, steering wheel very, very still, running a very good line through there. Does not want to make a mistake.
Crashed minutes before the end of practice, leading to qualifying. Spun a 360 and went right into that first and second turn wall. Comes out with a reserve car, his backup car, not his primary. And he is staying the course. Looks like he may be on his way. White flag this time by. Jason Keller closes down a little. Dale Shaw, he's stabilized back there in third. He hasn't gained any ground. Difference is about 1 second between first and second. Look at Keller coming on. Elliott Sadler gingerly working that steering wheel out of turn 2.
He's working it very, very well. Dale Shaw going down the back straightaway in the 4. Look at Elliott Sadler right now. You see his hand very, very smooth. He knows it's his race. Don't make a mistake.
So focused, but look who's coming on. Look at Keller closing. Look at Keller moving through turn 4. It's going to be a race to the finish. It's Keller down to the inside. Elliott Sadler puts the hammer down. He's going to win it by about 2 car lengths.
Well, he almost took it too easy on that last lap.
Yeah, but I tell you what, it's not close that counts in anything but hand grenades and horseshoes, so he did very well.
Elliott Sadler, at 22 years of age, has won on a super speedway big time. The inaugural race here at the Gateway International Raceway. He pulled it off. Were the others, many of the top drivers, Craven, Nemechek, Dillon, Park, Labonte. That's Bobby Labonte, found the wall. He is going to find his way to victory lane today. Elliott Sadler has done it for his 3rd win. Beautifully driven, saved the car, and on a track that abused everyone out here today. He gave it all it needed and no more, and rides it into victory lane. 7th in points. This is the one they're going to talk about with Elliott Sadler.
Boy, Gary Bechtel, the car owner, must be so proud. What a great choice of drivers for this year.
Crew chief Sandy Jones waiting down there for him. Boy, what a moment. Riding with Elliott Sadler. I mentioned how poised he was yesterday after crashing so hard, just getting that second car out and never losing focus. And he proved to do the same thing again today. Here's Dick Berggren.
As he takes off his gloves, congratulations go to Elliott Sadler. Elliott, while everybody else was knocking the wall down, oh, big breath of air, while everybody else was knocking the wall down, you kept the fender straight. How'd you do it?
That's why I told everybody it'd be survival of the fittest, but this goes to all the guys at Diamond Ridge. We messed up our primary car. We changed motors this morning, brake system. These guys were sweating like crazy, and this wins for Jimmy Crowder and his family. Passed away last week, and for everybody at Phillips 66 and Tripartite Motor Oil, thanks for the support, and hey, we're ready to go to Indy.
Doesn't look like he even needs to catch his breath, Ken Squire.
1-3 of the last 8 races. Elliott Sadler, top 12, unofficially here today, buddy. Keller in second, Shaw in third, Sawyer, McLaughlin, Fedewa.
All these guys did a great job. You're looking at people that know how to drive right there. To survive today, you had to do all the things right.
Take a look at those points, Ned.
Well, it's a 58-point deficit now for Todd Bodine. It's not as bad as it could have been after LaJoie had his problems, and certainly Phil Parsons had problems too.
Golf coming up next for Ned Jarrett, Buddy Baker, Dick Berggren, and Ralph Shaheen. Ken Squire saying so long from Gateway International Raceway, where Elliott Sadler has won the 1997 Inaugural Gateway 300. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the Daytona 500.